This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol Live. It's a freaking Sunday, and it's like an hour later than what it usually is. I felt like I should have been doing the stream about an hour ago. Could be because that time change that goes on. I was completely ready. I had everything ready to go. And I'm like, oh shit. It ain't time yet. It ain't time for the Troll Patrol to come on. Good evening. Welcome. Venus. I'm sorry. I fucked the stream up. The YouTubers will come in here after they realize I fucked the stream up. And it's a different link than what it was supposed to be. So I apologize to everybody on YouTube. That's me being stupid. Clinically. Good evening. Clinically. This is the kind of show you're gonna love. There's a lot of death, a lot of chaos. Where's Warlord? He told me he was sleeping. A lot of death, a lot of chaos, crazy shit. If you like crazy fucking stories, this is the Troll Patrol for you. A semi-truck hit 33 cars on Friday. Semi-truck was out of control, hit 33 cars on Friday, and we have video. I've got two different teachers that were fired for their Halloween costumes. We'll evaluate. Find out if we think they should have been fired or not. Apparently one of them was dressed as the devil, was like, "Hell, Satan!" Which sounds fucking cool to me. But what do I know? Amy Schumer has been beefing with everybody. Got dunked on by Martin Luther King Jr.'s daughter. Went after Mia Khalifa. Several other actresses I'd never even heard of. Amy Schumer's apparently showing up in their DMs to tell them how awful and anti-Semitic they are. I saw a lot of people say that Tom Morello showing up at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was the opposite of Raging Against the Machine. But apparently he had a message. Now I'm going to try to play it for you. Hopefully the Academy of Rock and Roll or whatever the fuck it's called doesn't come after me. It's hard to find a clip of it for that very reason. Probably shouldn't. I'll probably get fucking copyright on YouTube. Goddamn. I want to play it. The Booty Patrol has been out and about in Florida. Yes, the Booty Patrol. You heard that right. I said it correctly. The Booty Patrol was out and about in Florida.
Life is too short to walk this earth for a crusty asshole. Wash your ass.
He was raging. He was raging against the machine. I feel that his speech was poignant enough for me to want to play it. Here's your meme of the day. Such remember, so gunpowder, much plot, very treason. Wow. Such remember. I thought about actually changing up the graphics today and making a V for Vendetta and having the little troll head with the Guy Fawkes mask on. I probably should have. That would have been cool, wouldn't it have? Oh well, I'm lazy. I'm sorry. Booty and Rage. That's the name of the show. It's Booty and Rage tonight. I've apparently got a rowdy cat for you at the end of the show. So, a former mayor in Alabama served as a pastor, has killed himself after a right-wing outlet outed him as, they said, God, I can't even remember, a trans femme girl or something they called him. He wasn't. He was a cross-dresser. He liked to dress in drag. But of course, the GOP, and it's in Alabama, so they tried to slander him, and he took his life. A leaked GOP playbook shows how Republicans don't really believe in anything. They just do everything for attention. I think we all kind of knew that. Got elections coming up on Tuesday. I'm going to go over a couple of the big ones that we're going to be watching. The Kentucky governor's race, the referendum in Ohio, and the legislative battle in Virginia. We're going to highlight how national political divisions have seeped into local school board races, but you all knew that. Remember a couple of weeks ago when there was a mayoral candidate in Nashville and she was going everywhere flanked by neo-Nazis? I played the Phil Williams report a couple of Sundays ago here on the Troll Patrol. Then come to find out, John Oliver, the very same night, played the very same report that I played for you guys. I did it first, by the way. I wasn't stealing from John Oliver. That is something I'm very proud of, that I will watch the majority report and they will do clips that I played a day or two before. And I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. It's not so much like I know they're not copying me. Nobody is copying me. I'm too small to know, but I know I'm on the right track, right? That's one of the things when I was doing news for the radio station. Having the story before the newspapers or the television stations. That was always my thing. I always wanted to be on top of things. I may have not, done, done the best reporting on the story. Other places had more resources. But I'm on the right track if I'm getting the scoop before the TV stations. If I did a story and then I saw it in the newspaper a couple days later, fuck yeah. That's kind of how I judge myself now. See if I can cover this shit before anybody else gets to it. Well, clearly somebody else got to it because had to get the reporting from somewhere, right? I'm just rambling now. Fuck it. Apparently there was this teen who was wanted in connection with a murder. He decided to get on social media and taunt the cops. And I believe we got video of that. An off-duty U.S. Park police officer has been charged in the shooting of his friend. He shot his friend. Apparently thought he was firing an empty gun. Once again, back to responsible gun owners. This motherfucker should know, even if he thought there was no bullet in the chamber, should not be pointing a gun at anyone. That is not proper gun safety. I know this, and I've never owned a fucking gun. Speaking of guns, it's just another day. DJ Dub, good evening. Mitochondria, welcome. I love that you come in and give us a meow. V for vagina. Or C is for insert sophomoric genitalia reference here. Which one do you want me to even start with? I felt like we might have turned a corner and shootings weren't as common as they were. We had a lull. We went back to school, and I'm like, oh, the shootings are going to ramp up again, and then it didn't really happen. I was like, oh, I've had a little reprieve from reporting on shootings. We get into October, and all of a sudden, everybody goes fucking crazy. Which one do I even start with? Do I do the one that had the highest body count, or do we do the most? Let's do the newest one. 5 people were shot at a home in southeast Atlanta.
News just coming into the newsroom just hours ago. 5 people shot in a home in southeast Atlanta.
I just said that.
A live look at the scene right now on Redford Drive. Police say some of those victims have been taken to the hospital. And right now the details are limited, and we're working to try to find out the condition of those hurt. Be sure to stay with 11 Alive on air and online as we continue to bring more news and more information into the newsroom.
Yeah. Don't have any details on it because it just happened a couple hours ago. I think we do have details on the shooting in Denver that occurred, I guess, in the overnight hours, maybe early this morning.
To get more information about a big shooting in the Park Hill neighborhood in Denver.
Yeah, Denver police say 7 people were shot. One of them has now died. 9 News reporter Steve Stater live in Park Hill right now. Steve, you just spoke with police a couple minutes ago.
Yeah, they told us the headline of this, like you said, 7 people shot, 1 person has been killed, and that the 6 others have varying injuries. They're being treated at the hospital. Some are in surgery. I want to take a look behind me. So this all happened outside of that building with the 5514 there. There's a sign out front that says private club. That is the Hells Lovers Motorcycle Club. A lot of the evidence markers are out here in the parking lot, because police say it appears that there was some shooting going on in the parking lot. They're still waiting on a warrant to get inside. And just within the last few minutes, that door opened and a gentleman came out and offered police coffee. He's now was taken off to the side. Investigators are talking with that gentleman who came to the door right now as they again wait for this warrant to get inside to try to figure out what happened. This all happened about 3 o'clock this morning. Denver police say they got here, they found multiple victims.
It looks like he's telling them what's going on. He's describing the whole thing.
And that at least three other victims self-transported to the hospital. It's unclear now what led up to all of this. We just talked to Commander Matt Clark from Denver Police.
He's dropping some rat beats on
it was a relatively chaotic scene when he first got here.
We do not at this point know what led to the confrontation, what sparked it. We know that it occurred at some sort of after-hours club.
Mark it indeed.
That occurred in the strip mall behind me. There's evidence of gunfire outside of the club. We don't know exactly what happened inside. We're writing a warrant to get inside at this point. And we do have evidence of multiple guns being discharged during this incident.
So you imagine the difficulty in the investigation there when you have multiple people firing. They're trying to figure out who the suspects are in this case. In the meantime, we've had some people kind of filter
Just
through.
Another day.
Tell us that this block in particular has been trouble in the past, that they've had issues here, especially late on Saturday nights and early Sunday morning.
Saturday nights are out for fighting.
As you usually see a large gathering of people outside of that Hells Lovers Motorcycle Club. Late in the evening, it tends to be kind of an after-hours bar for the Horizon Lounge, which is next door. So police will continue this investigation.
The Hells Lovers.
Out of this building before they can get inside and start looking for evidence in there. And to do that in the first place, they need to get a warrant from approved by a judge, which they're still waiting on this morning. Guys, back to you.
Yes, the judge was sleeping in on a Sunday.
Okay. Thank you.
You want another one? I can go on all day. How many shootings do I have for you tonight? Suspect still at large, and this is not the only manhunt we got going on tonight. Suspect still at large as of 3 o'clock Pacific time after 2 dead and others injured in Tacoma, Washington shooting. Tacoma police say a shooting suspect is still at large after 2 people were killed and 3 others injured in Tacoma. Officials say that the shooting happened inside of the Alley Cat patio and lounge. Officers arrived at the intersection of 2700 6th Avenue. The 2700 address of 6th Avenue around 1:30 a.m. on Sunday. Upon arrival, law enforcement found multiple shooting victims. One victim had already died from their wounds. Another died later that morning. Police then learned that a 5th shooting victim was found. Clearly an ongoing story here. Want another one? How many do I have tonight? What's the over-under on how many mass shootings we're covering? Police say 5 children were shot and an 11-year-old is dead in a shooting in Cincinnati's West End. Heard on Friday night.
WLWT is staying on top of breaking news this afternoon after an 11-year-old boy was shot and killed in the West End in a
That's actually their press conference, not the news hit. An 11-year-old boy has died and 5 others were wounded after a drive-by shooting on the West End on Friday night. This is of Cincinnati. In an update on Sunday, Cincinnati police said 5 of the 6 victims in the shooting, including the 11-year-old boy, were killed. Oh, I'm sorry. I fucking read that wrong. 5 of the 6 victims, only one was killed. 5 of the 6 victims were children. 5 of the 6 people shot were children. According to Cincinnati Police Chief Terry Thettage, the shooting happened around 9:30 p.m. near Jones Street. Thettage said the children were near the intersection in a dark sedan when someone in a dark sedan fired 22 rounds in quick succession into the group of children. Who's beefing with some kids out here? Arriving officers located 6 shooting victims. 3 were transported to Cincinnati Children's. 2 were taken to UC Medical Center and 1 was pronounced dead at the scene. That provided the ages of the victims: a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 2 15-year-olds, and a 53-year-old woman. The victim that died at the scene was identified as an 11-year-old boy. City officials have not provided the names of the victims, but members of their family were present at the press conference on Sunday. Isaac Davis, the father of the 11-year-old that was killed, spoke during the press conference, asking those responsible to come forward. 2 of the victims attended Cincinnati College Prep Academy, including the 11-year-old who died. So he was in some kind of private school. I'm sorry, that's the thing that I run into here with doing this show, is that I want more people to watch me, but the shit that we talk about, I mean, it takes its toll on me and my mental health. Come watch my stream and get fucking bummed out. And that's why a lot of streamers end up, doing drama and react to people, cooking and shit. Everybody's so creative. I'm trying to stay true over here, but I'm not opposed to selling out. If I find a niche, I might be able to cash out on the YouTube. Sorry. I apologize in advance. No, this is the shit that I've always wanted to do. This is the show I've always wanted to do. There's no chance I'm not going to sell out. Promise you. I make you that promise now. You'll come back in 5 years. I'll still be finding out what that news be doing. And still telling you I want to piss in Dan Crenshaw's open eye hole. Are we in Texas yet? Hold on. No. We're in Indianapolis. We'll get to Texas. God damn. How many shootings? How many shootings are we going to cover tonight? I was telling Curiouser about that. It's become like a running joke on this stream. Like, shut up, Lester. He's like, what's wrong with Lester? And I'm like, honestly, like, I like Lester. Of all the newscasters to yell at, Lester is one of the least offensive. He just happens to be on all the fucking videos. I hate it. I hate it when I do that. Like, you can see the nipple of the nipple. Oh, that bottle of dish liquid needs a titty slap.
A titty slap!
Come on now.
I hate it when you can see the nipple over the counter. I try to always put the bottle to where it's but like I must have been washing some dishes or something. To be honest with you, I don't, I've got a dishwasher, so I probably wash my hands in the sink far more than I wash dishes. Anyway, how many shootings are we gonna report? How many shootings are we gonna report on tonight?
Breaking news. Police say one person is dead and 7 others are injured after 2 different shootings on opposite sides of the city this morning. The most recent shooting happened in a neighborhood near the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 3 people were shot there. Minutes before that, officers say there was a mass shooting where 5 people were shot, leaving 1 dead at a club on the south side on Madison Avenue. News 8's Hernan Gutierrez is live there now. Hernan, what are you learning from police this morning?
Good morning. So far, police have only said that the person that died is a male. We don't know their exact age yet, whether they're an adult or someone under the age of 18. They also tell us that they were pronounced dead here at the scene. I'm just outside the GZ Club. I will take a step outside real quick. You can see that there's still some police detectives.
I don't like doing dishes. I have too many dishes to do dishes.
As, investigators are still gathering the scene here. We also know that one woman and another man are in critical condition. Meanwhile, last we checked, 2 other men are considered stable at the hospital. It happened around 1:20 this morning. There was some kind of altercation that happened in the club, and then outside of the parking lot, the altercation continued.
See, this is why I don't go outside anymore. I run my mouth too fucking much. Somebody gonna pull out a gun and shoot me.
And then shots were fired at some point. A few different businesses were also shot, and investigators located several guns here at the scene. According to IMPD, multiple people who were at the club are cooperating with police. An IMPD spokesperson says that he wants the community to step up to stop further incidents like these happening again.
We need to do better as a community. We need to find ways to address conflict that does not involve guns. We need to find a way to intercede with people when
there's always going to be conflict. You're not going to stop conflict. The problem is the fucking guns. The problem is the access. There is conflict all over the world. The reason why we have a higher rate of gun death is because we have a higher rate of guns.
when they're in a situation where they might use guns to resolve conflict. We've got 5 people who were shot tonight, and it's unacceptable for our community, and it's unacceptable from our perspective as a police department. We expect more from our community. We're going to do everything we can as an agency to identify who's responsible for this incident and bring that
I'm certain that police department has shot many people this year. Fuck off.
individual or individuals to justice.
This latest mass shooting comes as 15 minutes later on the other side of town, 3 other people were shot in a neighborhood right next to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway near Edwin Court. We do know that they are 2 adults and 1 juvenile. One of those persons is considered in critical condition. The 2 other are stable at the hospital, according to police. We don't know exactly what ages they are at this time or their genders. Police have not been able to update us with that information. IMPD says that this follows some kind of party in that neighborhood, and of course all of this violence happening after last week a teenage girl died and 9 others were injured in a shooting following a Halloween party on the city's northeast side, which we are still learning more information about.
Safe on Halloween.
For now, reporting in Indianapolis, I'm Hernan Gutierrez for Wish TV, wishtv.com, and like us on Facebook.
It's the legendary party.
The legendary legendary party event.
One night only, November 19th, one of the greatest parties of all time. Will feature Toy Factory, the DJ, and a reunion of the Studio 54 Move Over New York Hair Show. Tickets now on sale for the Passions of Old Studio 54 Move Over New York Hair Show reunion.
I don't know. That was supposed to be the party of the year? I had to go back to it because it had me interested. Meanwhile, authorities in Texas searching for an armed and extremely dangerous suspect in a double homicide. Authorities have issued a capital murder warrant and are searching for a suspect in connection with a shooting that took the lives of 2 women overnight. Well, fuck this dude, especially. Happened around 11:42 p.m. on Saturday. Authorities responded to a report of a shooting near Gilmore at a home in the 2800 block of Highway 271. This is in Upshur County, Texas. Upon arrival, deputies found 2 people dead from apparent gunshot wounds, identified as Mandy Ray and Demetria Deshonda Waters, 35 and 37, both of Gilmer. Webb said the 2 are sisters. The site of the crime was the home of one of the women. Witness statements led authorities to issue a capital murder warrant for Alvin Charles McKnight Jr., the 41st. Junior, 41 years old, of Gilmer. I'm not high enough for this shit. In connection with the case, he has a known alias of Pookie. Pookie McKnight is described as a black male, 6'5", about 280 pounds, with a muscular beard. God damn it. Pookie McKnight is described as a black male, 6'5", 280, a muscular build, braided hair, and blonde highlights. Pookie. There's Pookie. There's a shot of Pookie. We have a manhunt in Texas for Pookie. McKnight and Waters had lived together until recently, the Upshur County Sheriff's Office said in a release. The case is considered to be an incident of domestic violence. There was, from the information we received, some type of argument or domestic dispute that did occur last night. Webb said at an in-person briefing, although no motive has yet been disclosed, the sheriff said this is believed to be an isolated incident due to the relationship between the parties involved. Webb said one of the women was McKnight's ex-girlfriend and the 2 have a child together. As of Sunday evening, the search for McKnight continues. One of several manhunts going on in the country right now. Next story, a cop has been arrested. He was off duty when apparently he shot one of his colleagues. Off-duty U.S. Park police officer is charged in a fatal shooting of a colleague. The officer charged in the shooting allegedly thought that the gun was not loaded. An off-duty U.S. Park police officer was arrested on Sunday and charged with fatally shooting a colleague inside a McLean, Virginia apartment while allegedly handling a gun he thought was unloaded during an alcohol-fueled get-together. So these 2 idiot cops were drinking, and one of them shot the other one. U.S. Park Police Officer Alexander Roy was charged with involuntary manslaughter in the killing of fellow U.S. Park Police Officer Jesse Brown Hernandez, according to the Fairfax County Police Department. The shooting unfolded about 12:20 a.m. local time on Sunday when the 25-year-old Roy was playing around with a gun he assumed was empty, hitting the 22-year-old Hernandez in the upper body. Roy unintentionally shot the firearm he believed to be unloaded, fatally striking Hernandez. Alcohol is believed to be a factor in the shooting. At the time of the shooting, 3 of the 4 individuals inside the apartment were off-duty U.S. Park police officers. Fairfax County officers went to the apartment after receiving a 911 call reporting an adult male had been unintentionally shot. When officers arrived at the residence, they found Hernandez dead at the scene. A preliminary investigation indicated that Roy was allegedly dry firing the weapon or attempting to simulate the discharge of a firearm by pulling the trigger of a gun he thought was unloaded, that he was pointing at his friend. After consulting with prosecutors, Roy was charged with involuntary manslaughter. He was being held without bond on Sunday at the Fairfax County Adult Detention Center. We are aware of the incident involving the off-duty United States Park Police employees at a private residence in Fairfax County. According to the Park Police, in a statement, the incident is under investigation by the Fairfax County Police Department, and all questions related to this investigation will need to be referred to them. Our focus right now is on supporting the family, friends, and co-workers of our employees involved in this tragic incident. The USPP has nothing further to share at this time. The circumstances of the shooting remain under investigation. Yada, yada, yada. Let's do some more cops, shall we? This one should be funny. This teenager, apparently a suspect in a murder, got on social media and taunted the cops. I'm kind of here for it.
I'm gonna get another bond. See, I'm gonna get another bond. A defiant 17-year-old murder suspect is back in jail this morning. Investigators say Isaac Gonzalez cut off his ankle monitor and was on the run for months, taunting the Bexar County Sheriff's Office on social media. Gonzalez vowed to be released on bond yet again. Fox SA's Melissa Vega reports on the missed deadline that allowed the teen to go free in the first place. I'm gonna get another bond too. I'm gonna get another bond too.
So as you can see, extremely cocky, very confident young man, confident that he's going to take full advantage of the legal system.
Deputies rearrested teenage murder suspect.
I think he's thinking he's going to take full advantage of your stupidity, actually, to be honest with you.
Young man, confident that he's going to take full advantage of the legal system.
Deputies rearrested teenage murder suspect Isaac Gonzalez on Halloween. He was wanted for cutting off his ankle monitor back in August. His rearrest coming 3 months after a judge was forced to let him out of jail without paying a dime.
So in this particular case, it started off as a juvenile offense. Certain offenses that are deemed appropriate can be certified to stand trial as an adult and transferred to adult jurisdiction. Ultimately, with Isaac, that's what happened.
Gonzalez's attorney, Adam LaHood, says once his client was certified to stand trial as an adult, the district attorney's office was put on a deadline.
The law is very, very clear. The law that we're talking about is section 17151, the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure.
That law says a defendant held in jail for 90 days or longer without being indicted or going to trial must be released on a PR bond or a bond they can afford. The DA's office missed that deadline by 1 day, so a judge had to lower Gonzalez's bond.
When you're dealing with somebody that's 16, 17 years old, doesn't have any money, it's going to be pretty hard to come up with $5,000 or $10,000 in cash to post bond.
So he was eventually released on a PR bond, something LaHood says rarely happens.
Full GPS, house arrest, drug testing, everything else. They knew where he...
Yeah, apparently he was wanted for murder, so getting out without any kind of a bond is pretty unusual.
He was going to be at, he was being monitored by pretrial services. And then, obviously, things went wrong.
While on the run, Gonzalez taunted Bexar County gang unit officers, posting a photo of himself with several firearms in his hands, writing, "Tell everyone at the gang unit I said catch me." And they eventually did, but not before the sheriff says he committed even more crimes.
Well, there is information here that at the very least, Isaac and possibly his other co-defendant in this case may have been involved in burglaries of vehicles. quite possibly other violent crimes. So we are investigating, continuing to investigate, working with other agencies if it comes down to it, and trying to determine that. I mean, we just want to have these folks make sure that they stay behind bars where they need to be.
The DA's office says it couldn't comment on this case specifically. They noted that in the rare instances in which this happens, a majority of the time it's because they're awaiting specific reports or other information needed to secure an indictment. LaHood says it's unlikely his client will get a second chance.
This is not a get out of free unconditional card or anything else like that. In fact, in Mr. Gonzalez's case, Isaac's case, he's actually remanded without a bond right now. Now that may change. The judge could set one. If there is a bond set, I anticipate it will be very, very high, and probably something that he or most people wouldn't have a prayer of making.
Melissa Vega, Fox SA.
I don't know. I wouldn't put anything past this kid. He seems industrious. I mean, living the American dream. Look how many guns he had. How does a kid get a hold of that many guns? Spider Piggle. Like, I'm familiar with the black market because I buy drugs. I wouldn't even begin to know where to go get a gun from. Oh, he probably bought them legally. He probably walked into a fucking gun store. Suspect in a murder, under 18, probably was able to buy all 5, 6 he had in the picture. Here, sir, here's your guns. That, I condemn that.
He condemn.
Weekdays, good evening. All right, you guys showed up for like one of the wildest stories we're gonna do tonight. I don't even know. 2L. I don't even know where this town is located. There's a local news report. Let me find out. It's in Utah. This is a city in Utah. This is 2L, Utah. I'm gonna hit the content warning for you. We've apparently got video. A semi-truck on Friday. There's a police department in Florida giving away an AK, if I remember correctly. God damn, that's the country we live in. A semi-truck in 2L, Utah hit 33 cars. Hit 33 cars after losing control.
Just chaos everywhere. It was insane.
New video of a runaway semi as it leaves a trail of destruction.
It all just happened so fast.
Along Main Street in Tooele.
Went to those cars.
Tooele.
And looked smashed to make sure they were clear or alive or needed to be pulled out.
Crashing into dozens of cars.
So scary, that semi coming at you that fast. Like I said, I closed my eyes and said my prayers.
Before slamming into a car dealership and bursting into flames.
Other cars started exploding. It was pandemonium.
A shocking scene, now clear as the investigation begins.
It's going to be several days before we can get this all sorted out.
New at 10 dashcam video captures the moment that semi hit several cars as it was speeding out of control down the main street in Tooele.
Maybe a miracle here that nobody was killed, but this video shows just how it could have ended very differently.
What? I thought it said somebody was killed. So apparently no one was killed.
Take a look here. You can see just seconds before the semi comes flying through the intersection, a person runs across the street there. The big rig with a full load of gravel then slams into several cars stopped at the light. A similar scene playing out at two other intersections immediately south of the one you're looking at.
Somebody was running across.
Hit at Vine and Main, 2 more at 400 North, and finally 27 vehicles hit at 1000 North and Main Street as a semi left the road. Went through a car dealership and then slammed into the Ford building. That is a total of 33 vehicles damaged, including...
Okay. It sounds like that driver did a fantastic fucking job of not hitting anybody. We need to be praising this motherfucker. His brakes or some shit probably went out. Shouldn't say he. We don't know the gender. The driver's brakes probably went out on them, and they did a fantastic job of not killing a whole bunch of people.
The semi.
We have team coverage from Tooele tonight. Andrew Adams is talking with those who saw the semi ignite into a ball of flames.
We're going to start things off, though, with Lauren Steinbrecher and some drivers who feel extremely lucky to even be alive tonight. Lauren?
Mike, lucky and thankful. Can you imagine just watching that semi barreling toward you? There's nothing that you can do. Tonight, hours later, you can see crews are still on scene here. They are boarding up that building, that dealership that caught fire, just part of the path of destruction left behind by that semi's rampage.
The crunch of cleanup taking hours to undo.
It was insane.
What complete chaos created in a split second.
I see a semi coming straight at me.
Tony Garner braced for impact, not knowing if he'd survive.
I closed my eyes and said my prayers. I didn't think I was going to see my kids, my family, so yeah.
A semi hauling 2 trailers full of gravel slammed into him at 1000 North Main. Dash cam from social media showing what he could feel. The out-of-control truck had already crashed into cars at 2 other intersections before sailing through this one after police believed the brakes gave out a mile south of here.
I look up and I see the semi coming literally up.
Janet Robison was a few cars behind Tony.
It had gone airborne. That's what I saw. I just saw this big thing coming.
She also had no choice but to brace.
The gal in front of me had been hit a couple of times, and I see her spinning towards my car.
The semi then hit a car dealership, the truck and building bursting into flames.
Big plumes of black smoke, and a second explosion hit.
Tony realized he was okay and began to help others who were trapped.
There was a police officer there, like an angel appeared. So I'm like, thank you, thank God.
People pulling together in those
People don't usually say that when they see the cops.
In the aftermath.
It was just so chaotic and so scary.
I talked to Tooele Police tonight to get an update. They say that one person is still in critical condition after being airlifted to Salt Lake. 11 people total hospitalized from these crashes. Now, the semi driver is actually not one of those people. It sounds like he was okay and got out of that without any injuries. Mike and Deanie.
That's amazing, but it's hard to imagine what you'd think in those moments as you see that big semi headed right towards you. Lauren, thanks. As you heard in her story, a couple of police officers were right in the middle of all this mess. They quickly radioed for all available first responders, leaving even some seasoned law enforcement officers in disbelief of what they were seeing.
I've never seen anything like this. The patrol lieutenant and I actually witnessed this happen, so very scary accident. It's going to be several days before we can get this all sorted out because of the amount of people that were involved, the amount of vehicles that were involved.
We now know 11 people were hurt. One had to be flown to the hospital in critical condition. And as Lauren said, amazingly, the semi driver was not seriously injured. Viewers sent us video of the truck after it started on fire. They tell us they heard multiple explosions after the semi hit the buildings. Flames left several cars charred from the heat.
We got exclusive video from Shopper 5.
Brakes failing on semi trucks is a lot more common than in just like commercial cars.
Here, showing the trail of destruction. You can see it right here as it's making its way up there, leading into the Tooele Motor Company show lot.
Visually hauling that
News
kind of
Specialist
load.
Andrew Adams continues her team coverage tonight. Andrew, you spoke to workers tonight describing really what was a chaotic scene.
Really was, Mike, and you could imagine on a weekend day, a nice day, temperatures in the 60s, that people would be actually out here looking at cars. But workers say, unbelievably, nobody was hurt in a chain of events that ended right there and left everyone stunned.
It all kind of turned to a blur.
In the middle of a Friday afternoon,
It all just happened so fast, you know.
calamity arrived at the car lot.
Quick as lightning, the truck came.
Hit a group of cars right here. That car over there kind of went up on the side of another one.
Workers watched in disbelief.
It careened off to the left, went through, started hitting through cars.
As an out-of-control semi barreled into the parking lot and rolled toward the dealership.
As it was still traveling, it had caught fire.
And there were few words
Crazy.
when those inside the building saw it coming for them.
And I just heard everyone start screaming. I saw the truck hit the door, and everyone just started running.
The scene was chaotic.
All you could see is the truck on fire, and the whole building is on fire.
Other cars started exploding. It was pandemonium.
Somewhere out of the ashes came action.
We ran down to the service bays that are located in the back, kind of clearing out everyone, asking, hey, is everyone okay? Get out of the building, get out of the building.
I was able to come up here and kind of start triage and evaluate patients.
The workers here are just grateful. Nobody was.
That dude a doctor or a nurse?
Team effort for everybody.
And as they come to terms,
how something so horrific could have happened.
They're relieved it didn't end worse.
Just really crazy for this to happen.
It was definitely scary. Nothing I've ever been through before.
Well, the damage was considerable. Police say between the road and the lot combined, at least 27 cars saw damage, and they believe that toll could potentially go up.
33 was the final count, I do believe.
Thankfully, nobody hurt in this lot. Back to you.
Yeah. This was reporting on Friday night, hours after it happened. 33 was the final count of cars. The sustained damage from the semi that lost control in Utah. I got more wild stories. I got more wild video to show you. We're gonna take a break from that, and we're gonna go to something far more tame. Yeah, Spider Pickle, like when you see it with like a commercial tractor trailer like that, it is usually they're hauling too much. They're trying back to that capitalism, that capitalistic incentive. They're hauling too much. They probably haven't had maintenance enough. So those are usually factors leading to brakes failing. We did a story, was it in Colorado, where a truck was coming down a hill and his brakes failed, and he ended up killing somebody, and they charged him with murder. And I felt bad for the guy. Like, you know, involuntary manslaughter is one thing, and even if if it's his brakes failing coming down a hill, I mean, there's not a lot you can do about that. But I wasn't privy to all the details of the case. I'm also a stoner, and I'm just thinking about it off the top of my head. Oh, I'm sure that's a factor. Cheap, inexperienced drivers. All right, let's take a break from the craziness that is the U.S. news headlines. Let's go to something a little more tame. U.S. electoral politics. Oh, God. There was a summit in Florida. It was a conservative freedom summit. A freedom summit in Florida. Trump, DeSantis, and the rest of the chuckle fucks in the GOP primary were there.
Almost all of the GOP presidential hopefuls made an appearance at this year's Florida Freedom Summit in Kissimmee.
I don't remember Rick Scott announcing a run for president. I would assume that he was there because it's in Florida.
Doug Burgum, Chris Christie, Ron DeSantis, Asa Hutchinson, Rick Scott, Tim Scott, and Donald Trump all took the stage to discuss their campaigns. Candidate Nikki Haley was not at the summit due to a family issue. The summit wrapped up earlier this afternoon, and as West 2's Liv Johnson reports, the battle over Republican support in Florida is heating up.
Well, it was Trump and DeSantis that stole the show this afternoon. DeSantis did not mention Trump at all, but Trump did go after the governor. And while we are in the governor's home state, it was chants of "We want Trump" that overwhelmed the room. In a room full of red, white, and blue and Make America Great Again hats, former President Donald Trump promised his supporters 4 more years in office.
We're going to win this state
in a landslide next November, just like we've done twice.
Well, that I don't doubt.
Look at Joe Biden, and we are going to.
There are very few states where he improved on his margin from 2016. Like most of the states, he got less votes, right? Margin. Because somehow the motherfucker ended up getting the most votes of anybody other than Joe Biden. It's insane. But his margin was less. Like his margin was less in Texas in 2020 than it was in 2016. It grew. It grew in Florida. It grew in Ohio. There were a couple other places. His margin grew in Florida. So no doubt he's going to win the state again.
To make America great again.
Conversations with people at the Florida Freedom Summit on Saturday reflect the numbers from national polls, which shows Trump with a substantial lead over DeSantis.
Now I think Trump can really right the country and go back.
Trump should be able to get his second term, finish what he started to do when he ran in 2016.
After bringing 7 Florida state legislators on the stage that he says endorsed him at the summit, Trump reminded DeSantis of when he endorsed him for governor.
He asked me for the endorsement. I said, you're so far behind that if George Washington and Abraham Lincoln came back from the dead and endorsed you, you couldn't win. He said, they like you in Florida, sir, very much. I think I could. Tears flowing from his eyes.
He's accusing DeSantis of crying, begging for his endorsement.
You in Florida, sir, very much. I think I could. Tears flowing from his eyes. I said.
But DeSantis didn't let Trump take all of the applause. He made sure to remind Floridians what his administration has done.
We're #1 for fastest growing state, #1 in education by U.S. News and World Report, #1 for parental involvement in education, #1 in new business formation.
The #1 in, like, that's true, but that has been a staple of Florida, mainly because of its university system that DeSantis is currently destroying. Like, Florida ranked #1 in education, or has been like towards the top for like the last 20, 30 years since U.S. News has been doing the rankings because of the university system. They're more in the middle of the pack when it comes to the K through 12. As I understand, that's what I was wanting to point out. It's the university system that's been considered #1 in the country. So there's a little caveat to that. They rank like 11th or 12th in K through 12. 34th in K through 12? I thought it was higher than that. I don't think you get to be #1 overall. Remember, this is U.S. News and World Report. Can you check that source and see what they rank them? But, like, he's doing everything he can to fuck with that ranking.
Some Floridians like John Baranska say they want to see DeSantis' policies adopted nationally.
That I think he could do with the country what he's done with the state of Florida. I think he's done a fabulous job. That's my opinion.
But even in
highest inflation in the country,
fans for Trump 2024 far outnumbered those for DeSantis.
I can believe that. I can believe that, Richard. Also, good evening, my friend.
Another big event is coming up in Florida on the 8th. That's the 3rd GOP debate in Miami. Trump says he will not be going, and DeSantis says he plans on.
Oh, wow.
In Kissimmee.
The debate is this week. Oh, fuck. We're just days away from a debate. Yay. Cool. We get to see the all the other candidates that don't matter. Again, like Asa Hutchinson, who was at that Freedom Summit that we just saw and was basically booed off the stage.
As someone who's been in the courtroom for over 25 years as a federal prosecutor and also in defending some of the most serious federal criminal cases, I can say that there is a significant likelihood that Donald Trump will be found guilty by a jury on a felony offense next year.
Oh, boom, he's right.
Not happen before you vote in March. And it might not make any difference to you but it will make a difference for our chances to attract independent voters in November. It will make a difference for those down ticket races for Congress and Senate, and it will weaken the GOP for decades to come.
I wish. I can't see anything weakening the GOP. I don't know how they still stand a chance in any fucking election. It boggles my mind. I thought after George W. Bush that like the Republicans would just get slaughtered everywhere, but that didn't happen. I don't get it. Asa Hutchinson not the only one getting an angry crowd, getting an angry reception from the crowd at the Freedom Summit this weekend. Chris Christie also not getting the nicest reception.
Yep. Look. What a shock you're for Trump. I'm going to fall over dead. Now look, every one of those boos, every one of those catcalls, every one of those yells will not keep it. Yes, sure. Will not solve one problem we face in this country. Will not solve, and will not make this country better. Your anger against the truth is reprehensible.
Jesus, somebody get ready to clip this, because, it's the same thing with Marco Rubio last week. I'm getting ready to say something I don't say very often. I agree with Chris Christie. Fucking right-wingers live in a fantasy world.
Stop. And will not make this country better. Your anger against the truth is reprehensible.
Your anger against the truth is reprehensible. I could say that about a lot of things. I agree with Chris Christie. He ain't wrong, exactly. Yeah, but that Donald Duck joke is so cringe. But it apparently made the liberals clap like trained fucking seals. Even on my video making fun of it, people were like, "Aha, that's a good line." I'm trying to grow as a channel. I don't want to keep fucking trolling people that come to my come to my videos and be like, "Are you fucking stupid? Are you a dipshit?" DJ Dub, I would be fine, like we watched the thing with Chank, right? And he named off Whitmer and Bashir as replacements. Like, yeah. Andy Bashir, we're going to talk about him a little bit later in the show. Getting ready to win a second term as governor in the state of Kentucky. A red state. He is a popular Democrat. And has, for a fucking red state Democrat governor, actually been pretty fucking progressive. So but yeah, Newsom is all right with me. Okay, we'll take we just need some young blood. We need people that are closer to our age. Would I take? No, I think I'd take Biden over Hillary. I was very much on in 2016. Before it looked like Bernie had a shot, I was very much on wanting Biden to run against Hillary. I'm not of the opinion that Biden is senile as the right is. We watched the speeches all the time. Like, he has definitely lost a step. He is not as sharp as he was. I used to play this clip from 2016 as he was leaving office as vice president, and he might have been full of shit, and he absolutely was, but he was on top of things. He was snappy and shit. He has lost a step between that time and now, for sure. It's not so much Biden that we're electing, right? It's the coalition, it's the NLRB, it's the cabinet secretaries, it's people down the line. I think people put too much stock into the one person. Yeah, the president has way too much fucking power, and the Trump presidency exposed that to me. I think we need more of a deep state. I don't think the presidency should have the power that it has. You gotta deal with the cards you're dealt. I don't even know about Biden's marketing team at this point. Going on Truth Social was a pretty good that was a good play. Other than that, like, they should have leaned more into Dark Brandon and not they were calling people ultra magas there for a little while, and then they had some other Jared Polis. I'd take Jared Polis. Fucking, I would take J.D. Pritzker. I would not spare him from the guillotine. However, for a billionaire, he's actually been a really good politician. It's a low fucking bar. But I mean, we've got to. We can't let the perfect be the enemy of the good when we're dealing with absolute all-out fascists. Luckily, the fascist that was running for the mayor's seat in Nashville, who had literal neo-Nazis escorting her places, lost, and lost big. No court petition was filed by Gabrielle Hansen to challenge the Franklin. I forgot. Not Nashville, it's Franklin. Franklin is the suburb of Nashville, one of the rich suburbs of Nashville.
She lost the race for Franklin mayor in an absolute landslide.
But tonight,
remember,
not appear.
This is the woman escorted by neo-Nazis. John Oliver did a piece on her the other night.
Ready to face reality. Hello, everyone. I'm Carrie Sharp.
And I'm Hunter Hoagland. Just when you thought this strange campaign down in Franklin was finally over, Gabrielle Hansen is now teaming up with election deniers in Arizona.
And as News Channel 5's chief investigative reporter Phil Williams discovered, Hansen now claims she is the victim of a vast conspiracy involving all sorts of players.
During a new 50-minute podcast with Arizona election deniers, defeated Franklin mayoral candidate Gabrielle Hansen bounced from one strange conspiracy theory to another. The one person that Gabrielle Hansen did not blame was Gabrielle Hansen.
This is huge, Miss Hansen.
In the podcast, Gabrielle Hansen found a willing audience of election deniers, including discredited former Arizona Secretary of State candidate Mark Fincham.
And what you're describing, madam, is not an election, it's a selection that was preset before anybody ever walked into the election booth.
Regarding News Channel 5's revelations about Hansen's association.
Also, I haven't had a chance to go into it. There has been a slew of stories coming from right-wing outlets that I do not trust. Once again, I need to look into some of these things. They have claimed that Democrats are being investigated all over the country for rigging elections. There is a little truth. There was like a Democratic race in New Jersey or something where it was 2 Democrats in the primary. There was a court case. But like they have been running with this, and I'm a little worried about what they're going to do leading into 2024.
You ever walked into the election booth?
Regarding News Channel 5's revelations about Hanson's association with white supremacists and other scandals, Hanson saw a conspiracy.
I later found out that a news network had been paid a lot of money to run advertorials on me throughout the campaign, and they were relentless.
In fact, she lied, falsely claiming that we were paid by Republican bigwigs to bring her down, a conspiracy theory that Fincham was more than willing to embrace.
But what they're doing is they're publishing bull, trying to make people think that it's legitimate. And then they recycle it, and they recycle it, and they recycle it again.
And the fact that Franklin voters turned out to make sure the controversial candidate was not elected mayor, while she and her Arizona buddies saw a conspiracy in the record turnout.
I ain't buying it.
I am just about 4,000 people to about 15,000.
Yeah, that doesn't really happen.
Henson ran on a slate with other far-right candidates, 3 of whom were trying to beat incumbents. The fact that the 3 challengers all got a similar number of votes, that too was seen as evidence of a conspiracy.
Wow.
Statistical improbability of what you have just described, I'm pretty sure that our chief statistician, Seth Keshel, would look at that and start laughing.
In fact, because they ran as a slate, it's not surprising that the challengers got a similar number of votes, or that together voters wanted nothing to do with them.
When a constituent called me and said, I've tried to vote for you, and it kept shoving the vote onto the incumbent, whose name was underneath mine.
And despite Henson's claim that the voting machines might have switched her votes to her opponent, election officials say they never got any such complaints at the polls from voters. One other point, the voting system used in Williamson County actually generates paper ballots that voters can review, making it pretty much impossible for Gabrielle Hanson's conspiracy theory to be true. Phil Williams, News Channel 5 investigates.
The noisiest bitch in Nashville.
Today is the last day for Hanson to file an election challenge.
She did not meet that deadline for filing a challenge because she doesn't actually want to file a challenge. She just wants to play victim. This messiness is extending into our local government. As you can see, luckily this Nazi woman got defeated soundly in a suburb of Nashville, but all over the country, far-right lunatics are winning seats on local school boards.
Over the past 3 years, local school board elections have become the place where America's deep political divisions are on full display. On November 7th in Virginia, Republicans are looking to take over more school boards or expand their existing majorities, whereas Democrats are fighting to make up lost ground. Virginia's races are seen as a bellwether for the country, and Spotsylvania County has become a particular flashpoint. Tom Eichenberg of Spotsylvania, Virginia, is a retired school administrator with 37 years of experience. He's been keeping a close eye on the school board, especially after a conservative majority took over.
We have 4 majority members that do not let the minority members necessarily make decisions or talk.
Well, it seems like since the conservative majority got elected, any issue causes a problem because they're upset that they're not in control anymore.
In Spotsylvania, Virginia, school board meetings have increasingly sunk into chaos and toxic confrontation between right and left.
We're acknowledging it, but we're in the middle of public comments to let the public speak right now. So we, if you let me finish right now, Dr. Daniels.
Meetings are somewhat of an uproar with the chairperson, Mrs. Phelps, on the Spotsylvania board, cutting off certain members, cutting off their microphones.
And they hate her so bad. It's just like what they do to Trump. they hate you so bad, they're not going to let you get anything done, and they're not going to respect you.
One of the hot button issues the community and the school board are divided over is removal of books from school libraries.
I don't have any children in the schools, but my tax dollars are paying for that, and I don't want that going to porn.
Book.
What?
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life, then I want you inside of me.
If there happens to be somebody of the conservative persuasion watching me, watching the replay of this, listening to this on Spotify later, I am begging you. Stop letting grifters on the internet, on Fox News, the Ben Shapiros and the Steven Crowders of the world, the Matt Walshes and the Greg Gutfelds, stop letting them getting you upset. Stop letting them getting you all riled up about absolute nonsense. Stop letting right-wing grifters make you upset. You brainwashed fucking you lemmings, you fucking lemmings. Stop letting, and you'll all tell me about the mainstream media is lying to you, blah, blah, blah. No, motherfucker. The stupid shit that you watch on YouTube, on Facebook, your damn Bonginos and your Dennis Prager, they are lying to you and getting you upset about the dumbest fucking shit. There's no porn in schools. There are plenty of guns, though. It still amazes me that we're in an upside down world where a novel virus that had never existed before was no big deal. It was just like the cold. Killed millions of people, but that was a hoax. The woke mind virus, though, that's a real fucking problem. And we got to do legislation, and we got to make changes at the school board level to make sure we fight off the woke mind virus. Meanwhile, you can't be bothered to wear a mask. Stop the spread of a real virus. Seriously, the fuck is wrong with you people? Thanks to unfettered capitalism, you have a million different options where people can go and get their propaganda, anything to confirm their fucking beliefs. I had an argument with a dude. I told it was over that "Try That in a Small Town" fucking song. And I'm like, small towns have a higher rate of crime than cities, right? And he's like, aha, fuck off. That's not true. Aha. And I'm like, no, Google it. It's true. Google it. Find out it's true. Rural areas often have a much higher crime rate than the cities that you opine against. He's like, well, I'm not Googling it. That lies to you. That's fake news. I know what I've seen with my own eyes. And that's the problem. You just want to believe whatever the fuck you believe. Turn on whatever fucking flavor of media that you want, and they'll feed you the narrative that reinforces your beliefs. It's infuriating. Right-wingers and morons. I'm sorry, I don't even know how I got off on this tangent.
Books were removed from shelves, and I'm not saying that...
Oh yeah, books. This cunt face over here out here wanting to ban books because it offends her fucking Puritan sensibilities. The chair of the Rappahannock Conservative Women's Coalition. I'll give you something to wrap your hand around a cock, woman. That didn't even make sense.
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life, then I want you inside of me.
Tax dollars are paying for that, and I don't want that going to porn.
Books were removed from shelves, and I'm not saying that there may not be books that need to be reviewed, but there was a process in place And that process was not followed by this school board, unfortunately.
I am a parent of 2 children. One is a recent graduate of Spotsylvania County Schools, and the other one is in 10th grade currently. We've actually had many removed, but the one with the QR codes in it was called Trans Plus. The book itself defined BDSM as other pleasurable pain and recommends the reader to work in a sex shop at 18.
I started paying more attention to the school board elections when actually the book issues started to take shape in about November.
When Fox News told you to get upset. That's when you started paying attention. When the Daily Wire was taking out $1 million ad buys to tell you you need to be upset about something that is trivial.
Of 2021, when my younger daughter was still in school, I find a lot of value in making sure there are a plethora of books on different issues, topics, viewpoints. So we've actually started to set up a graveyard with 37 gravestones in our front yard, each one with a book title on it. Spotsylvania actually tried something.
So it was the other dude who let Fox News make him upset. This dude was reacting to the reactionaries.
At the beginning of the year, they actually did an opt-in, opt-out. So parents could just simply say, I want my kids to have access to this material, or I don't. One of the books that's banned is a Pulitzer Prize winning novel by Toni Morrison, and if you wanted your kids to have access to that literature, you could simply opt them in. I thought it was that great compromise solution. I was like, yay, we're done.
Polarized views on education increase tension, drowning out voices calling for civility and compromise in politics across the country.
We just need a more civil discourse. It's not just Spotsylvania, it's across the country.
In Spotsylvania,
we need a more civil discourse, said the woman who is a Trump supporter. You can't square that peg, woman. You can't vote for a dude who is the exact opposite of civil and then get upset that people don't want to be civil towards you anymore. Jesus. And that's what... Anytime I, have a video that catches the attention of some right-wingers, they want to come and say that I'm trying to divide people. I'm trying to divide people. I'm like, no, I'm a leftist. I believe in coming together and taking out the billionaires that are the cause of all of our problems. I think you're the one trying to divide people with your woke fucking culture war nonsense. You want to attack my trans homies and my gay homies and my women homies that are having their rights trampled on. And then you want to say that I'm dividing people or that we need more civility. Fuck all the way off. Oh God, yes, he announced the U.S. Freedom Academy or whatever the fuck he called it. Oh God damn. I got some homies watching me right now that are in Kentucky. I would like to inform you that early voting has ended. I hope you already cast your ballot, but if you haven't, I hope that you go to the polls on Tuesday and vote for Governor Andy Beshear. He is running against Republican Daniel Cameron. If that name sounds familiar to you, he was the Attorney General who refused to prosecute the cops that shot Breonna Taylor, and he has inserted himself into the whole culture war nonsense, wokeness bullshit. He's an acolyte of Mitch McConnell. He is the Republican challenger to incumbent Governor Andy Beshear. Andy Beshear is the son of a popular former Democratic governor, Steve Beshear. That's one of the reasons why he had an advantage running as a Democrat, also coming off of a I don't even remember what that dude's name was anymore. The Republican that was in office before Andy Beshear was really anti-teacher, and he got his ass handed to him in the bluegrass state because of it.
As the Commonwealth's early voting period ends, Kentucky's candidates for governor are hitting their final few campaign stops ahead of Election Day. Thanks so much for joining us on the Night Team. I'm Alex Dieterer. WHAS 11's Connor Steffens was at the polls today and has the number of Kentuckians who came out to exercise their right to vote ahead of Election Day.
As Kentucky's early voting period comes to a close,
it's trending upward, which we love to see.
Those helping run the polls are in high spirits with the turnout they're seeing so far.
We're glad that so many people are taking advantage of the opportunity to come out, no matter where they vote.
Aaron Huber with the Jefferson County Clerk's Office says Saturday boasted the highest voter turnout of the 3-day period. More than 44,000 Jefferson County residents cast their ballots between Thursday and Saturday. A turnout Huber says is 4,000 more than Kentucky's last gubernatorial election in 2019.
We know that every election counts because we're the ones who help orchestrate it. But we want people to know that as well and to believe it as well because it's the truth.
As the final few voters headed to the polls Saturday, Kentucky's candidates for governor hit the campaign trail.
Quite honestly, he is the best governor Kentucky has ever had, isn't it?
Together, we have the capacity to hold firm for those values and those principles.
Democratic incumbent Governor Andy Beshear continued his 10-day bus tour in Bowling Green, joined by his father, former Governor Steve Beshear.
I'm feeling great. I'm losing my voice, but I'm feeling great. You see crowds like this, and we're seeing them all over Kentucky and Western Kentucky. It's just really exciting to see people so excited about our future.
Republican candidate and current Kentucky AG Daniel Cameron was also joined by family as he spoke to a crowd packed inside Louisville's largest FOP lodge.
I don't want you to forget this feeling that you have right now. I want to make sure that everyone gets to the polls on November 7th.
In the final days of one of the most competitive and closely watched races this election year, both candidates are stressing to Kentuckians the importance of their vote. In Louisville, Connor Steffen, the WHAS 1119 on your side.
Governor Beshear already cast his ballot during the early voting period, while Cameron plans to head to the polls on Election Day.
Once again, I expect Beshear to win pretty handily. Especially early voting seems to indicate that he stands a really good chance. Go to the neighboring state of Virginia. For this Tuesday, their legislature on the line.
So Central Virginians take to the polls on Election Day. We're bringing you more on what's at stake with all 140 seats in the House and Senate up for grabs. 8 News is your local election headquarters. And 8 News reporter Roland Wilson joining us live in our digital center now with what you need to know about Election Day. Roland, what can you tell us?
Well, Heather, according to the Virginia Public Access Project, as of yesterday, more than 750,000 Virginians have already made their decision, while many others will cast their vote on this year's high-stake elections on Tuesday. Now, today I spoke with 8 News political expert Rich Marr about what key issues could be impacted by who controls the state legislature.
With Election Day around the corner, 8 News political analyst Rich Marr says all eyes are on Virginia.
National Republicans, the parties, campaign staffers, candidates, they want to know what messages work. They want to see who's turning out, and everyone's going to be looking to Virginia to give them some idea of what to expect in next year's presidential election.
Currently, the Democrats hold the Senate and the Republicans have a majority in the House. For the first time since 2019, all 140 General Assembly seats are up for grabs.
Democrats are arguing that if you like Republicans, great, but if you don't, or you're concerned about their agenda, this is really important election in order
Purgatoris, good evening.
Republicans argue that if you like their agenda, now's a chance to help them make it happen.
Marr says one controversial topic on the minds of voters is the future of abortion and what Democrats are calling a 15-week ban.
The stakes are really high if you care about reproductive rights and you have a position on abortion. That seems to be the most important issue in the minds of a lot of voters.
Other important issues include education, crime, and the economy. Despite a decrease in early voter turnout compared to bigger election years, Marr says more Republicans have taken to the polls earlier than normal compared to Democrats. This after Youngkin launched his Secure Your Vote initiative to boost early and absentee voting. However, Marr says it's still too early for either side to celebrate.
As always with turnout, and particularly at the state level, we just don't have enough data to really know how it's all going to shake out.
We'll know on Tuesday.
Stations will be open from 6 in the morning until 7 in the evening. Now,
oh shit!
For registrars.
So election on Tuesday and then presidential debate on Wednesday. Well, we've got a big week here on the Troll Patrol Live. Everybody get a good night's sleep tomorrow night. Meanwhile, let's go to Ohio, where we had... God, I can't even explain it. I wish Sky Comet was here. They would be able to explain it a lot better than me. There was a referendum in the summer to change the Constitution, try to make it easier for Republicans to restrict abortion access. That referendum failed, but the voters still have to decide on this other referendum to actually limit access to abortion in Ohio.
On Tuesday, Ohioans will be voting on Issue 1, which is a constitutional amendment to enshrine abortion rights in the state constitution. The amendment...
So the referendum earlier in the summer was to make it harder to pass an amendment to the Constitution, if I remember correctly. They were trying to stop this from getting voted on by making it harder to change the Constitution.
Protects the individual's right to make their own reproductive decisions, which includes abortion, and it does provide the state with the ability to regulate the procedure once the fetus is viable outside of the womb. That determination is made by a physician who's attending to the procedure, and it does require that there be exceptions for the health and life of the mother. Roe versus Wade was overturned by the U.S. Supreme Court last year, and supporters say that this is a way to continue the protections that existed under that court ruling for 50 years. They say that this is up to a woman and her doctor.
Politicians make terrible doctors, is what that sign said.
These questions. The opponents say that this amendment is worded in such a way that it is too extreme for average Ohioans. Ohio is the only state this year that has an abortion rights question. We've watched this be raised in other states, both red and blue states, and in every case, the abortion rights side has been victorious. So both sides are now looking to Ohio, which is a former bellwether state, to determine how the fate of their amendments are going to go going forward. Can we write a little bit broader amendment and get that?
I don't even pray to end abortion. Why is that an issue for you? If you don't like abortion, don't get one. I don't get why that's an issue for other people. I seriously do not understand it. It's a matter of morality. You can't legislate other people's morality. Okay, you believe all life is precious. Cool. I fucking don't. You believe all life is precious, then put your money where your mouth is and actually treat that life that exists here on this planet as if it was precious. Stop voting for politicians that fund genocide in Gaza. Vote for comprehensive health care. If you are pro-life and you aren't advocating to do something about the infant mortality rate, especially in the South in this country, then I think you're a hypocrite.
passed? Can we use arguments that are going to dissuade people from voting for this sort of thing? So we've seen a lot of test messaging this year, and everybody is watching very closely because 2024 is going to be a big year on abortion rights, as well as a presidential year.
As long as I'm on it, like I can't say it better than a pastor said it. I quote this quite often. This is Pastor Dave Barnhart. The unborn are a convenient group to advocate for. They never make demands of you. They are morally uncomplicated, unlike the incarcerated, the addicted, or the chronically poor. They don't resent your condescension or complain that you are not politically correct. Unlike widows, they don't ask you to question the patriarchy. Unlike orphans, they don't need money, education, or child care. Unlike illegal aliens, they don't bring all that racial, cultural, and religious baggage that you dislike. They allow you to feel good about yourself without any work at creating or maintaining relationships. And when they are born, you can forget about them because they cease to be unborn. You can love the unborn and advocate for them without substantially challenging your own wealth, power, or privilege, without reimagining social structures, apologizing, or making reparations to anyone. They are, in short, the perfect people to love if you want to claim that you love Jesus, but you actually dislike people who breathe. Prisoners, immigrants, the sick, the poor, widows, orphans, all the groups that are specifically mentioned in the Bible, they all get thrown under the bus for the unborn. I gotta take a peek. Like I was gonna try to do a short stream tonight because I got shit to do. But we're gonna be here for fucking 3 hours because that's what happens. I'm like, oh, I gotta do a short stream. Find out what that news be doing. It's a lot. So I gotta take a pee break and I gotta refill my drink. I will be right back. Less than a minute. Hang tight. Hi, I'm JustinFREAKIN. I'm a leftist broadcaster and comedian, not liberal, leftist. And despite what you may have heard from right-wing propaganda, George Soros isn't handing out Soros bucks and funding people like me. There are no Koch brothers, Mercers, or any number of right-wing think tanks funding content on the left side of the spectrum the way they fund people like Ben Shapiro, Dave Rubin, and Dennis Prager. And YouTube doesn't monetize videos that are controversial or deal with politics unless you're someone like Steven Crowder. So this is an ultimatum. Become a patron. Support my Patreon, where I'm going to become a right-winger and get some of that easy money. You know for a fact that I could be bigger than Charlie Kirk or Jesse Lee Peterson. Amazing! All I have to do is talk about how I used to be an SJW snowflake, but the left went too far with their cultural Marxism, and Republicans are stupid enough to buy it, even though this video exists. And you know I'm right, so give me your money or I'm selling you out. Gotta refill on my tea. See, Smokey doesn't know time changed. He thinks it's like 10:30, and I should be over there. That's a spider pickle. That was the next thing. I was like, let's refill my bowl. I don't have a lot left, but definitely make that happen. Let me because I don't have a lot left. I want to make sure I cash this one out, but I think there's nothing in it. I think it's all ash. Speaking of preachers, I got a wild story for you here in a second of a poor guy in Alabama who committed suicide after a conservative muckraking site ran a piece on him. Because I'm not high enough for that shit. So before we do that, let's talk about this leaked staff handbook. So it's a handbook for apparently Nancy Mace. It's been making a lot of headlines lately. So it was a handbook for Nancy Mace.
Craven House Republicans, there is one who stands out among the rest, Congresswoman Nancy Mace of South Carolina. Now, Mace has managed to become a high-profile member of the Republican House caucus in less than 3 years on the job. And that has a lot less to do with her record or accomplishments than her uncanny ability.
Spider Biggle. Yeah. Well, if I didn't do this show, I'd probably not be as in tune with what time it is. But yes, time changed. And if you don't have a manual clock somewhere, like you don't have a stove clock or a microwave clock that you actually have to set yourself, maybe your clock in your car. I don't even know, probably don't have to set clocks in cars anymore. How would you even know? Like, your phone's going to update automatically. Your computer updates automatically. You wouldn't even fucking know.
Ability to find a camera. In fact, Nancy Mace does not seem to have any real fixed ideology. Instead, it tends to shift in whatever direction the cameras are moving. For example, Mace was an early supporter of Donald Trump. She even worked on his 2016 campaign. But the relationship went sour after Mace criticized his attempted coup and Trump endorsed her primary opponent. Congresswoman reacted with a cringeworthy media stunt, flying up to New York to film this video.
Hey everyone, Congresswoman Nancy Mace here. I'm in front of Trump Tower today. If you want to lose this seat once again in midterm election cycle to Democrats, then my opponent is more than qualified to do just that.
Now Mace's name is rumored to be on the Trump shortlist for vice president.
I told you to get up there. Rebellion going on over here. He's like knocking shit in the floor. Maybe I haven't fed them in a little while. Maybe they're upset.
A possibility she calls intriguing. Then there was the Republican speaker debacle. Mace joined the very small group of rebels that voted to overthrow her own ally, Kevin McCarthy, citing his lack of action on women's issues, including birth control and abortion. She promoted all the backlash she received for that vote, sporting a scarlet letter in front of the press. Nancy Mace then turned around and supported Jim Jordan and later Speaker Mike Johnson, both hardcore opponents of abortion. But this is all part of her plan, as Jake LaHutte explains in this fascinating new profile in the Daily Beast. Quote, for Mace, what seems to matter most isn't what kind of attention she gets, just that she's at the center of it. Jake LaHutte is a politics reporter for the Daily Beast, and she joins me now. Jake, you got your hands on some briefing materials that staffers have to sort of give to other staffers about like what the Congresswoman likes. These exist in a lot of offices, and what'd you learn from that?
So first, I want to give a shout out to my colleague Sam Brody, who has a ton of experience on the Hill and had, a greater familiarity with these. But I first heard about this handbook when I was reporting on Nancy Mace inserting herself into the, entirely premature beefsteaks that Trump was having. And I really wanted to track it down. Once we got it, what really stood out to me was that this is really a lot of like consultant buzzwords and kind of vague terms about, what all amount to driving a national narrative. That's the recurring theme throughout it. The other interesting thing is that the job descriptions for communications related roles tend to be like 2 or 3 times longer than, say, the legislative director or the deputy chief of staff, really significant positions. And the third thing that stood out was that no matter what your job title was, and again, this was for the handbook this year in 2023, you were required to pitch 1 tweet a day minimum. And it was, so she sort of had this like all staff writer's room dynamic going on. And, the goal is just to kind of live news cycle to news cycle. And obviously you're writing a book about the attention economy. And I think, she's certainly an example of one way to do it. Put it that way.
Yes, I am. This is up my alley because I'm writing a book on this topic. It's
always a book blog.
Like staff counsel being like, all right, I got one. Warning, Joe. So here's the TV hits portion of the handbook. Staffers on the communications team were told they needed to book Mace on a national TV outlet between 1 and 3 times per day. Per day? 9 times per week at a minimum, according to former staffers who had seen past handbooks and on local TV channels at least 6 times per week. That is a shocking amount of time on TV, and I say this as someone who has a TV show. There's also, she wants to be known as a thought leader, which is a term that itself is the opposite of thought. In a strategy memo she wrote in 2021, Mace described herself as the freshman thought leader on federal issues, according to a copy obtained by the Daily Beast. She even gave herself a brand named National Nancy. Now, she can do this now. If I'm not mistaken, she was in a swing seat and got redistricted into a safe seat, right? So, like, she could kind of do whatever she wants now. Is that the deal?
I'm still confused by the status of South Carolina redistricting and don't want to speak out of turn there. But I do think that when the initial redistricting went from swingy to more Trumpy, what I'm not sure on is what the future of it is with the court challenges that have happened there and all that.
Right.
Basically, and I think a member like Elise Stefanik would be a comparable where, one, you realize that where all the small donor energy is obviously with the MAGA messaging. The other thing that I think is just true about our, Citizens United era and how small donations have become the name of the game is that, you really just want to have that household name, that recognizable face, and be able to try to just, draw in some donations. I think what's different about the recent period we've seen is that she basically torched any goodwill she had left on Capitol Hill by being one of the McCarthy 8. So I think that's left her in a very precarious position. And, again, it was interesting to hear her say on The Daily Show that she was, intrigued by the VP speculation as if that was news to her, when, again, we've reported and have it on pretty good authority that she's basically the only one pushing that around, aside from guys with Trump advisor Chris LaCivita. Like,
as I've stated many times, I totally expect him to pick Marjorie Taylor Greene.
That's it.
Yeah, this, by the way, this is a former staffer who's talking about that vote to oust, which, by the way, when I read the part about, like, staffing up on comms as opposed to legislating, I thought about Madison Cawthorn, who bragged about that famously, that he built his staff around comms, not legislating. Madison Cawthorn, no longer a member of Congress because he was basically turfed out by Republicans who had enough of his stuff and successfully primaried him. This is a staffer talking about that vote to oust McCarthy, one of 8 in the House Republican caucus. In the eyes of former staffers, she saw the votes on the board and said, F it. I'm just going to vote for it just so I can go on TV and talk about it, a former senior aide said. You should write that quote on the gravestone of American democracy if it comes to that. Jake LaHutte, great reporting. Thank you very much.
Wow. Buddy! The cats literally are revolting. I'm sorry. We go to Alabama, where this is a tragic fucking story. Let's see how much the local news actually gets into it. Then I'll fill in the gaps if they don't tell you everything.
Funeral arrangements are currently underway for Smith Station Mayor Bubba Copeland. The family will receive friends this Wednesday for the visitation from 4:30 until 8 p.m. at Vance Brooks Funeral Home in Phoenix City. The funeral service will be held at 3 p.m. on Thursday at First Baptist Church in Phoenix City.
Yeah, they ain't getting into it. They're just telling you the arrangements. Lee County Sheriff Jay Jones confirmed Smith Station mayor. I guess he was mayor at the time. I thought he was a former mayor. He is dead following a controversy from posted online pictures. According to the sheriff's office, around 4:15 Central Time, November 3rd, deputies received information regarding the mayor needing a possible welfare check. Deputies found Copeland in the Beulah community area where a slow pursuit began. Officials say the mayor turned onto Lee Road 275 north of Yarbrough's Crossroads and pulled over. When he exited his vehicle, he produced a handgun and he used it to take his own life. Prior to his death, News Leader 9 spoke with 1819 reporter Craig Monger, who originally published an article showing several photos of Copeland dressed in women's clothing. He says all the quotes in his story were from Phoenix City Reverend and Smith Station Mayor. This is the story in question from 1819 News. The Secret Life of Smith Station Mayor and Baptist Pastor F.L. Bubba Copeland as a transgender curvy girl. He looked good in drag. Really cute. 7 years later, Copeland's vision was coming to fruition as he grappled with the growth but trying to maintain Smith Station's loyalty to its small town roots. I always say we're Mayberry, he said during a March interview. 4 years earlier, Copeland had led the city through a horrific devastation of a March storm that also led to an EF4 tornado. During Copeland FaceTime with then President Donald Trump, who was touring the storm devastation. This station had experienced ups and downs throughout Copeland's tenure. Copeland earned the respect of local elected officials. He is the lead pastor at the First Baptist Church in nearby Phoenix City and owns a convenience store. By all accounts, Copeland had a busy and meaningful life. However, during this time, he also had a secret life playing out online on social media and Reddit. Smith Station's mayor operated social media accounts as a transgender woman, a cross-dresser. They're slandering with the word, no, it's not slander, misidentifying as transgender under the pseudonym Brittany Blair Summerlin. Okay, maybe they referred to themselves as a transitioning transgender curvy girl. We don't know if there has been editing on this. New story about a young man obsessed with big bimbo women, so he becomes one. Brittany Blair Summerlin. By maintaining what appears to be an active online alter ego, Copeland continues to perform his pastoral duties at the First Baptist Church of Phoenix City. In the social media posts, Copeland can be seen wearing several articles of his wife's clothing shown by her social media. That's his wife. He's got his wife's outfit. He looks better in it than his wife. Additionally, Copeland regularly commented on other posts referring to himself as a thick transgender woman and encouraging other transgender individuals to go on hormone replacement therapy. Copeland also posted transgender pornography, often giving vivid captions describing being a whore and getting fucked, which is totally cool. Where's it at?
You live in sexual anarchy?
Another reason why I try to fight repression so hard. This dude wanted to, maybe they wanted to be referred to as a she. In another timeline where we are accepting of people and we're loving instead of judgmental, the person might have got to live their life as they wanted to, as a woman, not felt repression, not felt the pressure from society, and wouldn't have fucking killed themselves. In an interview with 1819 News, Copeland confirmed that he operated the account and was featured in the pictures. He claimed it was only a means of getting rid of stress and called the postings a hobby and a fantasy. He also said his erotica was purely fiction. After the interview, Copeland promptly deleted the accounts and asked them not to be made public due to his family and position as a pastor. Copeland initially denied having any knowledge of the accounts, but when he was made aware of the social media evidence, he quickly admitted to running the page. He also said that his wife was aware of his activity, but no one else in the community. Despite his claim of this online lifestyle being little more than a casual pastime, Copeland did offer advice to others on chemically transitioning. He emphatically stated that he does not feel like a woman and has not undertaken a medical transition. However, he has offered his Instagram handle as a method for people to reach out to him, which he claimed was a means to make friends. Copeland also declined to offer any explanation to the citizens of Smith Station or his church parishioners about his so-called hobby. He said he believed his activity was not relevant and only relegated to the privacy of his home. He repeatedly referred to his activity as akin to dress up and cosplay. And he isn't alive anymore because you people wanted to fucking judge him. News Leader 9 also spoke with some people in the community. We're back to the actual news source now, who said that they were saddened by the news in so many ways. Things that were obviously private came out publicly and quite frankly unexpectedly. I can't imagine again what that must be like for the mayor, his family, or for anyone who's been affected by this. Probably the most heart-wrenching thing about it is the effect it's going to have, the effect that it is going to be on the community. AlabamaBaptist.org posted that we have become aware of the alleged unbiblical behavior related to the pastor of the First Baptist Church of Phoenix City. We are praying for the leaders of the church family as they seek to determine the truth concerning these accusations. As the people of God, we pray for the pastor and his family as well. We are in the consolation. We are in consolation with the Russell Baptist Association's leadership as they endeavor to assist the First Baptist family during this critical time of need. This was this dude preaching.
Asian Church, people of Facebook. I've been an object of an internet attack. An article that was written about my capacity as a mayor, capacity as a pastor. The article is not who or what I am. Yes, I have taken pictures.
No, motherfucker. That is exactly who you are, and you should be allowed to live your life as yourself openly. This is the facade. This is the fakeness. We have to get up here and pretend to be a fucking preacher. Ass backwards. This is the costume you're wearing, not the drag you assumed.
With my wife in the privacy of our home in an attempt of humor. Because I know I'm not a handsome man nor a beautiful woman either. I apologize for any embarrassment caused by my private and personal life that has come publicly. This will not cause my life to change. This will not waver my devotion to my
Wrong. You put a gun to your head.
Family, to serving my city, to serving my church. I'm thankful for the grace of God, the willingness to forgive. I have nothing to be ashamed of.
No, you don't.
A lot of things that were said were taken out of context. And in conclusion, I love my family. They're number one. And again, I'm sorry for what my actions have caused. And I'm thankful for the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that have reached out to me today in love. And I know that there are others that have not, but just know I love you and Jesus loves you as well.
Brother or sister, if only you had come out and found a community with the LGBTQ community, you would have found the love and acceptance that you so sorely needed. And maybe you would still be with us today. Gotta do a little heavy news. Well, I mean, as if that wasn't heavy. Let's go. Let's cover the earthquake in Nepal before we move on to big white Jewish elephant in the room. That wasn't anti-Semitic, was it? Fuck, who even gives a shit anymore? People like Amy Schumer just out here throwing around charges of anti-Semitism. Well, oh, thank you, Venus. This is my favorite pot store. At least 150 are dead. The aftermath of an earthquake that rocked Nepal over the weekend. We're in the city of Jajarkot.
Napi.
नाम फाले होला नि त्यस्ता बुझ्ने मान्छे नि नाम फाल्नु हुन्न त बतु ढोकाको सिँगाडमा बस्नु पर्छ त्यही चाहिँ टाइप होला झाचिया छ पनि काटिन
Thanks for watching.
Shut up, Lester.
About breaking news and top.
Where even is Nepal? Is it in the Himalayas? Is that where it's at? Yeah. The Himalayan range between Tibet and India. The Himalayan mountain range. Pretty good guess. I'm not good with geography. So over 150 dead in Nepal. Meanwhile, we are approaching over 10,000 dead in the incursions in Israel and Gaza, as well as the West Bank. Israel attacking, since the last time I left you guys, they've attacked another refugee camp after attacking the same refugee camp twice. They've admitted to attacking a medical convoy. Hospitals. A humanitarian crisis. And the Israeli military in the last few hours has been encircling the city of Gaza City.
John Yang. Tonight, the Israeli military says it has divided Gaza in two and its troops have surrounded Gaza City. Israeli media reports that soldiers could move into Gaza City in the next 48 hours. The human toll is rising. The Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry says more than 9,700 Palestinians have died, though it's not clear how many were Hamas fighters. The Israeli military says 29 soldiers have died in Gaza ground operations. Special correspondent Layla Milana Allen has our report.
Huge discrepancy there.
Down Gaza's main north-south highway, civilians walk towards what they hope is safety. The Israel Defense Forces warned residents in the north to leave during a 4-hour pause in airstrikes Sunday. Those that left carried whatever and whoever they could. But airstrikes also continued outside the north. The Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry said at least 38 people died in a strike on the Al-Maghazi refugee camp in central Gaza. Among those who lost loved ones, photojournalist Muhammad Al-Alul, who was working for the Turkish newspaper Andalu. 4 of his children were killed. His wife is in critical condition.
What happened was that I was doing my job and reporting. I got the news that Al-Maghazi camp has been bombed. Little by little, more news was delivered, and I found out it is my home.
At the Rafah border crossing, foreigners and injured Gazans have been unable to leave since Saturday. U.S. officials said the Hamas-controlled government wanted it closed until more Gazans injured in Israeli strikes on hospitals and ambulances were allowed to evacuate. That's leaving dual passport holders like Majid al-Huwayi in limbo.
I ask the German government to intervene in a stronger way with all parties. Things get more dangerous in Gaza with every day that passes.
The IDF maintains that its strikes target Hamas locations underneath hospitals. It released this undated video purporting to show Hamas infrastructure under a hospital in Gaza City. On CBS's Face the Nation this morning, Deputy National Security Advisor John Feiner said the majority of about 400 Americans in Gaza had now left.
Over the last several days, through pretty intensive negotiations with all sides relevant to this conflict, we have been able to get out more than 300 Americans, lawful permanent residents, and their family members.
The day before, President Joe Biden expressed optimism about getting Israel to agree to temporarily stop fighting to allow more aid into Gaza.
Mr. President, any progress?
You know how you could get Israel to stop fighting? Stop supplying them with money and munitions. Surefire way to get them to stop fighting.
A humanitarian pause? Yes.
On Sunday, Secretary of State Antony Blinken expanded on the one-word answer.
This is a process. Israel's raised important questions about how humanitarian pauses would work. We've got to answer those questions.
Blinken also made an unannounced visit to the West Bank Sunday, meeting with Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas. In response, protesters filled the streets of Ramallah.
And Ramallah isn't the only area in the West Bank threatening to boil over, John.
Layla, I know you've been spending a lot of time on the West Bank. Can you tell us, what are you seeing there?
I have, and Palestinians in the West Bank are saying that they feel like they are being persecuted as though they were Hamas as well. We've seen a huge escalation in by the Israel Defense Forces into towns and camps in the West Bank. And not only that, but also airstrikes, which is very unusual in the West Bank. More than 1,300 Palestinians have been arrested, more than 100 killed by security forces in the past few weeks. And the second issue, of course, is the Palestinian Authority. Now, they are theoretically still the government in Gaza. It's just that Hamas is the party that runs things there. Fatah, which is the party that's in charge in the West Bank side of things, has been called upon now by the Israelis to come back in and run things in Gaza after the war. But they're very concerned about how that will be seen.
Run what? What is going to be left? As I understand it, half of the infrastructure in Gaza doesn't exist anymore. And that was a number I got last week.
If they're seen as complicit with the Israelis. So there's a lot of concern about, after all this devastation, what happens next and what the future is for any Palestinian peace solution or state.
Layla Milana Allen in Tel Aviv.
I don't know what the answer is to this. I was listening to a Serge Tankian song earlier, and it was like, the future will view all history as a crime. We're witnessing a crime being perpetrated with our tax dollars in real time. At least people are speaking up. Thousands calling for a ceasefire in Gaza during a D.C. rally. Millions in cities all across the world.
Today, thousands of protesters gathered in Washington, D.C. to call for a ceasefire in Gaza. People from over 500 groups across 22 states took to the streets calling for an immediate stop to the Israeli bombing of Gaza. And you see that there. The Israel-Hamas war is now in its 29th day. Now, the conflict began with the October 7th Hamas attack. Israel retaliating with...
I will say that this feels different. This feels different than other times that we've had Israeli incursions in my lifetime. But you look at the polling and it breaks down on a generational divide.
With airstrikes and a ground invasion into Gaza. The Palestinian death toll has surpassed 9,400. Here's ABC's Chuck Severson with the latest.
Israel's bombardment of Gaza continued on Saturday, the military striking a UN shelter in northern Gaza, according to the UN's Palestinian Refugee Agency, adding the death toll is not immediate.
Striking a UN shelter! I feel like we're just skipping over a lot of shit here. A UN shelter. They're striking a UN shelter.
Clear. That attack part of a series of airstrikes as Israel escalated its ground invasion and encircled Gaza City. ABC's Ian Pannell embedded with Israeli troops at an undisclosed location inside the Gaza Strip.
You can hear the sound of gunfire, of tank fire. You can see the Israeli troops here. You can hear the sound of explosions and thick black smoke rising in the distance. This is one building I can show you. Obviously, something that was a civilian building. What the Israelis say is that Hamas have used these kind of buildings, using the civilians as essentially shields to launch their attacks.
Meanwhile, Hamas continues its strikes against Israel, launching rockets into Ashkelon in southern Israel Saturday night. IDF spokesperson Daniel Hagari says Israel's ground forces reported that they are in control of every battle and have the upper hand. Secretary of State Antony Blinken in Jordan Saturday, meeting with 6 regional Arab leaders, reaffirming U.S. support for a humanitarian pause in fighting as opposed to a ceasefire in order to get hostages out and aid into Gaza.
It's our view that a ceasefire now would simply leave Hamas in place, able to regroup and repeat what it did on October 7th. None of us can accept that.
I've heard this before.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying Friday Israel is going full steam ahead unless the estimated 240 hostages believed to be held by Hamas are released. While in Delaware Saturday, President Joe Biden expressing optimism about a pause in fighting to get hostages out and aid into Gaza.
Mr. President, any progress on the humanitarian pause? Yes.
Chuck Severson, ABC News, New York.
I don't know what he has to say. I assume he's not going to go as far as many of us would hope. I saw several people bashing the motherfucker on Twitter, so I'm assuming that he didn't go near as far as we would have hoped. But I'm also assuming he's probably the for a high-ranking politician. Also, the highest-ranking Jewish politician in the country. I'm assuming that he's gonna go as high. I don't think Bernie's gonna let us down. Here's Senator Bernie Sanders talking on Dana Bash's State of the Union.
U.S. this weekend, large crowds of pro-Palestinian protesters took to city streets to call for a ceasefire. And on Capitol Hill Friday, dozens of activists were arrested after entering the offices of several senators,
including Bernie Sanders.
Now, independent Bernie Sanders of Vermont. Senator, thank you so much for joining me this morning. 4 weeks ago, more than 1,400 Israelis Mostly civilians were slaughtered in their homes and at a festival.
Allow me to get my button ready, because you guys know what's coming.
Been critical of Israel's response recently. How do you think Israel should be responding?
Well, this is what you got. It's, I think, clear to most people. What Hamas did, and Hamas is a awful terrorist organization, is they slaughtered 1,400 people in cold blood. Israel has a right to defend itself. But what Israel does not, in my view, have a right to do is to kill thousands and thousands of innocent men, women, and children who had nothing to do with that attack.
He's correct.
So the immediate concern, Donna, to my mind, is we have got to stop the bombing now. You had over 600,000 people pushed out of their homes. Where are they going? They're staying in United Nations facilities.
That are being bombed.
There's not enough water, there's not enough food, there's not enough medicine, not enough fuel. You got a humanitarian disaster. It has to be dealt with right now.
So, Senator,
but the issue is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
Go ahead, Donna.
Okay, so what you're saying about the lack of food and water and so.
Go ahead, Donna. And then he starts back again. I love him. And this is what I was expecting. I mean, he's correct. Could he be more forceful? Sure.
Fourth, I think that most people in the West, certainly the U.S., believes that is because Hamas is hoarding it. And the other question is, how does Israel destroy Hamas?
It's not just that Hamas is hoarding it. They are. It's more than that. That's what Israelis' policy has been.
Okay,
so it's a combination of factors.
Let's get to the other point that you made, which is really the key one, which is innocent civilians dying, and they are. How should Israel destroy Hamas post-attack on these innocent civilians in Israel without killing innocent men, women, and children when Hamas is hiding behind them?
Allow me to tell you, Dana, we went over this about 20 years ago here in this very country, because terrorism is a law enforcement issue. Terrorism is not something you fight with bombs. Doesn't work.
And putting them in danger. How does that work?
Well, that is exactly the right question to be asked the military experts, of which I am not one. But clearly, Israel has a right to defend itself. Hamas has sworn that's what its goal is to destroy Israel. They got to deal with that. But there got to be a better way than killing thousands of men, women, and children. So once again, the immediate concern is you got to have a pause in the bombing. Got to take care of the immediate disaster. Israel's got to change its strategy. Let me just say this. The United States of America provides $3.8 billion every year to Israel. We have a right. Israel can do what they want. They're an independent country. But we have a right to say, sorry, you need a new military strategy. Go after Hamas. But that means, do not kill innocent men, women, and children.
You mentioned money. There is going to be a measure before you.
This is the Budget Committee Chairman.
For the House passed more than $14 billion. And there is going to be at least some version of that in the Senate. Will you support that? Or will you put conditions on it?
Well, we'll see what the bill looks like. But I think it's terribly important that as we debate that, to say to Israel, you want this money, you got to change your military strategy. The other point is we have to give hope to the Palestinian people. They were living before October 7th in a disastrous situation in Gaza, 75% youth unemployment, massive poverty. And right now in Israel, you're having the Netanyahu government, an extreme right-wing government with racists aboard, trying to make it impossible for a two-state solution in the West Bank. They're killing settlers there. So what we need is the world to come together to give hope to the Palestinians. We need a two-state solution. And we need to have many of the very wealthy countries in the region, the United Arab Republic, Saudi Arabia, Qatar. They are extraordinarily wealthy.
Yes,
work with the United States, work with the community in order to provide some hope and decency and freedom to the Palestinian people, which Hamas will never do.
I just you're right about that. They have a lot of money, and they, to this point, have not been really willing to use that money in that region to help their fellow Arabs. I want to just clarify one thing, Senator, if I might. You support a humanitarian pause in Gaza. Some of your fellow progressives say that there should be a full-on ceasefire, which would require an agreement on both sides to halt the fighting. Do you support a ceasefire? And if not, why not?
Well, I don't know how you can have a ceasefire, permanent ceasefire, with an organization like Hamas, which is dedicated to turmoil and chaos and destroying the state of Israel. And I think what the Arab countries in the region understand, that Hamas has got to go. So what we need right now, the immediate task right now, is to end the bombing, to end the horrific humanitarian disaster, to go forward with the entire world for a two-tier, two-state solution to the crisis, to give the Palestinian people hope.
Senator, Democratic Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib released a video on Friday. I want you to watch part of it.
Apparently this ruffled some feathers.
Mr. President, the American people are not with you on this one. We will remember.
I have had so many right-wingers say from the river to the sea. Is there more to the chant that I don't know about? They all say that to me, like, see, that means they want to genocide the Israelis. Huh? I thought it was Palestinians shall be free. From the river to the sea, Palestinians shall be free. So, yeah. Why do I have so many right-wingers telling me that statement alone proves I'm anti-Semitic or some shit? It's some weird, fucked up logic.
2024.
That last screen said Joe Biden supported the genocide of the Palestinian people. I know you know the definition of genocide. It is defined as a crime.
And I can show you all the human rights organizations that will describe what is happening to the Palestinian people as a genocide. I will show you a Jewish scholar of the Holocaust call what was happening to the Palestinian people before October 7th a genocide. Thank you, Dana.
Committed with intent to destroy a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group. Do you think that's what Israel is doing here?
Yes.
What's going on right now is a horror show. We don't have to quibble about words. Thousands of men, women, and children are being killed. It has got to end right now. And one of the things that concerns me, Donna, is there has not been enough talk about what right-wing Republicans are doing right now. They don't want any aid to go to the Palestinians. Somebody should be talking about that. Somebody should be talking about how Trump wants to expel Palestinians from this country. So it's, you can disagree with Joe Biden, but on his worst day, he'll be 100 times better than where Trump and the right-wing Republicans.
So you think that Rashida Tlaib gave her ire for Trump and the right wing, and not her fellow Democrat?
Rashida is a friend of mine. Her family comes from Palestine. I think she's been shaken, as all of us are, about what is going on right there, right now.
Yeah,
we have to address that humanitarian crisis. But if anyone thinks that Trump is going to be better than Biden on this issue, or any other issue for that matter, I think they are sorely mistaken.
And I understand that. I also understand, and I know you know, that words matter. And I want to ask about what she said.
Words matter, but what matters more, Dana, is you have a horrible humanitarian disaster that has to be dealt with right now. You call it whatever you want to call it. It has to be dealt with. Women and children cannot be bombed with 2,000-pound bombs. And we need the entire world.
So when she says from the river to the sea, which the ADL says is anti-Semitic, she says,
the ADL has eroded a lot of the trust that I had in that organization over the last 20 years. The ADL calls a lot of things anti-Semitic that aren't.
It's aspirational, but the ADL says it is anti-Semitic. Do you want her to stop using terms like that?
Well,
others.
Donna, it's not what I want and anything else. This is what you got. President Obama just said the other day, I think quite correctly, and we all got to deal with it. This is an enormously complex issue. And slogans like the river to the sea.
Really not complex.
destruction of Israel. That's not going to work. People who are saying Israel, right or wrong, we're for you all the way. That's not going to work. This is a horrendously complex issue. You got a right-wing government in Israel, which is racist. And the people, by the way, the good news is last poll I saw, only 18% of the people of Israel want Netanyahu to stay in office. I hope they get rid of him. I hope they put in a government which understands the severity of the crisis and can help us move to the two-tier state.
Senator.
And on the other hand, in terms of Hamas, you got a terrorist organization that cannot be trusted for a minute. This is, as President Obama said, a very complex issue.
Senator, real quick, and you're really alluding to this in your answers and our discussion here. You really are in a unique position, maybe even a difficult one, because you're a leading progressive voice in American politics, and you're also Jewish, and you have family who died in the Holocaust. How difficult is this for you?
This is nothing to do with me, Donna. What this is as a nation, we are living now, in my view, for a more difficult moment than we have lived in my lifetime. You know, people are worried about, we had the pandemic, we're worried about climate change, worried about the attacks on democracy. Our healthcare system is collapsing. We have artificial information, which is going to, make radical changes to the economy. You got a crime all over this country. People are worried and they're concerned. All that I am begging people is to understand slogans are not going to do it. Social media is not going to do it. We need a serious discussion of how the hell we get out of this difficult situation. Maintain democracy, bring peace to the world. And it ain't easy, but slogans are not going to do it on any side.
Senator, thank you so much for your time this morning. I really appreciate it.
Do I wish he'd been more forceful? Sure. I don't. Kelly, good evening. I hate to attack somebody like Bernie because his voice is important. The fact that we have a high-ranking official who is also Jewish, centering it on the suffering in Gaza. Thank fucking God we have that. And watching him speak, I was like, man, he's far older than Biden, but he's far more with it. Bernie has not lost a step. Any Amy Schumer fans in the crowd? Why Amy Schumer's Israel-Gaza posts were corrected by Martin Luther King Jr.'s daughter. Ooh boy, I thought I caused a stir on social media. Apparently Amy Schumer is a hell of a troll. Since the Israel-Hamas war began on October 7th, Amy Schumer has positioned herself on Instagram as the most vocal celebrity in support of Israel. Also been pretty racist, as I understand it. Amy Schumer has emerged as one of the most vocal celebrities in support of Israel's assault on Gaza, launched in response to a surprise attack by Hamas on, also not really a surprise attack. The comedian and actor is using her large Instagram platform to campaign on behalf of Israel's operation and call for the release of hostages held in Gaza. Also sliding into the DMs of other actors who criticized her posts and prompted pushback from Dr. Bernice King, the daughter of Martin Luther King Jr. Dozens of celebrities posted about the October 7th attacks at the time, sharing that they stood with Israel. Schumer shared footage of the attacks and urged Hamas to free the more than 200 hostages being held. Jewish people are the only group not allowed to defend themselves, Schumer captioned the post. This had nothing to do with the occupation. Hamas don't want end to the occupation. They want to eradicate Israel. You have a video? Oh, this is going to show her post. We're not actually going to get a statement from her. Last week, Schumer shared a since-deleted comic on Instagram. Which was intended to satirize comments made by American pro-Palestinian supporters. Gazans rape Jewish girls only in self-defense. if you were satirizing the thing going on, it would actually it would be Jewish people only rape Gazan girls in self-defense. Then that's funny because it's an exaggeration of the Never mind. Another sign said, "Proud of our rapist martyrs." Conflating Palestinian civilians with Hamas led to considerable pushback on social media. It's so crazy to me how Bella and Gigi had to tiptoe around their statements, and then Amy Schumer is like, Gazans are rapists and will still have a career. This was according to Asia Jackson, who tweeted that out. Didn't even tag Amy Schumer, as I understand it. Los Angeles-based actor who has 38,000 followers didn't tag Schumer's account directly. Still, Schumer messaged Jackson on Instagram. Did something I post about my people being massacred upset you? The Islamophobia and generalization of Gazan people did, Jackson replied. Which, fantastic response. That is true. Schumer, who has not responded to the Independent's request for comment, then sent multiple lengthy paragraphs to Jackson in response. You are not educated about the history of the Jewish people and of the conflict. Thanks for expressing what you are upset about. I'd like to express that I think you are anti-Semitic. One day, when you realize how you acted in this moment, I will accept your apology, she added. This Schumer added. And when you use this exchange to try to raise your profile and get shine, you are showing yourself. So just showing that when she shares out the mean DM she got, fucking the nerve of Amy Schumer. Imagine coming into a black person's DMs trying to lecture them about what it's like to feel unsafe, Jackson wrote. I don't let my mom walk around alone because she's Asian. Like, do you really think that you, a blonde, blue-eyed white woman, have some sort of claim on feeling unsafe? Approached for comment by the Independent, a representative for Jackson said, Asia responded to everything online. Please reference her post on Twitter. Just days before Schumer labeled Jackson uneducated, during their disagreement, Dr. Bernice King, the daughter of civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr., also responded to Schumer after she posted a video of the late civil rights activist speaking out about anti-Semitism. Schumer posted a clip from one of MLK's impassioned speeches in which he called on people to take a stand against anti-Semitism because it's wrong, it's unjust, and it's evil. On October 31st, Dr. King said that Schumer's clip failed to acknowledge MLK's history of challenging white supremacy and advocating for peace. Amy, certainly my father was against anti-Semitism, as am I. He also believed militarism, along with racism and poverty, to be the interconnected triple evils. I am certain he would call for Israel's bombing of Palestinians to cease, for hostages to be released, and for us to work for true peace, which includes justice. Tuesday, Schumer said she was accepting love and feedback in her latest Instagram post by turning on her comments, which had up until then been disabled. Snicks, good evening. So she wanted to hop into people's DMs and threaten them, yet she had comments turned off on her own posts. Thanks for using your platform to show everyone that the only people who matter and the only lives that matter are the ones that look like you, read one of the comments. It must be nice writing this statement and posting about the conflict from the comfort of your multi-million-dollar home, said another. A third wrote, we hear you. We understand the trauma the Jewish community had to go through. What's happening in today's date in Gaza, it's brutal. And Schumer has since gone radio silent. Apparently, she also went after Mia Khalifa, the porn star, or former porn star. Mia Khalifa shares furious Amy Schumer messages. Since, we don't need to recap that. Schumer, who was raised Jewish, is a vocal supporter of Israel. Conversely, Lebanese-American Khalifa is a staunch supporter of Palestinians. Although it's her alleged praise of Hamas that has led to the cancellation calls rather than her support for Gaza's civilians. Khalifa lost her podcasting contract with Playboy after calling Hamas freedom fighters on social media. No. You have to couch your statements by condemning Hamas.
Be condemned.
Well, Schumer accused several news outlets of blaming Israel for the Gaza hospital bombing on October 17th without fact-checking. She should fact-check, since Israel took credit for it originally. They since walked that back, and they've since lied about it multiple times, and have been caught. Although later reports indicate that the missile was indeed fired from within Gaza towards Israel, that's not correct. Schumer's comments led to widespread backlash on social media. What are they talking about? They're citing Israel. Newsweek. Nuh-uh. New York Times blew that one out of the water. On November 1st, Khalifa shared a post to Twitter, originally posted by Black and Indigenous Filipino actress Asia Jackson. The images are screenshots of an Instagram message. So Khalifa responded to the messages we just went over. Schumer appears to have first messaged Jackson after the 29-year-old posted, "So crazy to me how Bella and Gigi had to tiptoe around their statements." And then Amy Schumer is like, "Gazans are rapists. Will still have a career." So since losing her deal with Playboy, Khalifa has refrained from posting her own thoughts on social media, but has been liking and resharing posts from other users in support of Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. On November 1st, Schumer took to Instagram to respond to the backlash against her. In her post, the mom of one said she wants safety for Jewish people and Muslims and slammed people accusing her of being Islamophobic. Saying that I'm Islamophobic or like genocide is crazy, Schumer wrote before hitting out at commenters, insulting her appearance and career. People calling me a failed comic, I'm the most successful... Oh, this is where that came from. I'm the most successful female comedian of all time, she continues. How are we measuring success? I'm gonna be honest with you, she probably, like, in terms of money, she might be. Roseanne probably has a better box office than her. Gilda Radner has a much better legacy than her. I can name many female comedians I find funnier than her. Fortunately, the idea that she's the most successful female comedian of all time is like, I think that's more of a statement about how blonde-haired, blue-eyed Amy Schumer got attention where many other women who were much funnier, including women that she stole bits off of, didn't get the praise and the Netflix deals that other comedians got. That's what I would have to say about that. I would think that the statement that she's one of the most successful female comedians of all time is true. I don't know about the most successful, but I think that's an indictment. You know, I don't know, Venus. It wouldn't surprise me to find out she was a Nepo baby. Whitney Cummings is funnier. Aubrey Plaza is way fucking funnier, but I don't think she's not a stand-up. But this is neither here nor there. I'm ugly, fat. Okay, sorry, you're not attracted to me. She's a successful joke stealer. She's actually not fat or ugly. That's one of the things that kind of upsets me about Amy Schumer is I think she's incredibly attractive. Yes, she is. Oh, yes. She's Chuck Schumer's cousin. Or niece. Is it cousin? So, yeah, Nepo baby for sure. She's got connections. Why didn't that? Yeah, that completely slipped my mind. Wanda Sykes. That is a woman who should absolutely be the most successful female comedian of all time, but has probably not got the props, the dues, the contract she deserved because she's a woman and because she's black. Hands down. I like thick girls, so I don't know. So like fat seems like a slur to me. You know, it's like bigger women used to be revered in society because, that was a sign of wealth. back when we were all fucking struggling out here. Being rotund was a sign of wealth. The fertility goddesses from antiquity were all depicted as being rather large. I'm stuck on this as the most successful female comedian of all time. Dean Garofalo probably should be. But she's been canceled many times for not having the right opinion on things. Please don't get me a strike. Please don't give me a strike on YouTube. I want to play this. Leslie Jones, Melissa McCarthy may actually be in the running for most successful female comedian of all time. Leslie Jones, in terms of that woman, just oozes fucking talent. I love her so much. When Chris Rock did a stand-up special, back in like March, he did a live Netflix special. Leslie Jones was his opener, and she fucking killed it. She was way funnier than Chris Rock. I love Kristen Shaw. I love her so fucking much. Like, the woman that reminds me of Kristen Shaw is the woman who plays the sister on Righteous Gemstones. I fucking love her too. Yeah, it's a shame that Leslie Jones won't be the most successful. But then again, once again, you're measuring success. Success is a measure of wealth. That's like saying that Drake is the best musician on the planet. American. I guess it's Bad Bunny, isn't it? Bad Bunny. And Bad Bunny actually is talented. So that doesn't really fit my... And I assume Drake is talented. People tell me Drake's alright. I listen to a Drake song and I don't remember it after it's over. It's so uneventful. But apparently this is a new genre of music. That we're in the age of vibe music, they call it. That music is no longer like a main event. You're not listening to a song. You've got a vibe on in the background. And I guess that makes sense. That's why Drake doesn't register with it. There's nothing special to it. I guess it's something that plays in the back of a clothing store or something. Seriously, I like Bad Bunny. And I think Bad Bunny is the most streamed artist right now, so that motherfucker can rap. I've seen him wrestle. I've seen him on Saturday Night Live now. I'm a big Bad Bunny fan. Holy shit. How was it, Snicks? I hear it's a cool show, but once again, like, I've tried to listen to Drake's music, and apparently he's on a lot of songs I like. But, like, I can't even tell you what the motherfucker sounds like. It just doesn't stick. But the music don't stick. I'm sure it was a cool show. But I grew up with music that had emotion to it. I'll never forget the first time I popped in the CD, and I didn't discover them until a few years later. That's on me. But then again, like, it wouldn't have registered if I discovered them when they were actually out. We'll never forget the time I popped in the CD Battle for L.A. or the Battle of L.A. Holy shit, did listening to Rage Against the Machine change my life. The newly inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Rage Against the Machine. Now, if you were tuning into the Hall of Fame ceremony to see Zach De La Rocha, you were disappointed. Only one member of Rage Against the Machine showed up. That was Tom Morello, and he took a lot of flack online for going to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But just as soon as I heard that he went, I knew exactly what his speech was going to be about. Had fucking nothing to do with music, did it? I have not heard this. This is the first time I'm watching this, but I'm going to assume he had a humanitarian crisis he addressed in his speech.
Fans often ask, but what can I do? Well, let's start with these three things. 1, dream big and don't settle. 2, aim for the world you really want without compromise or apology. And 3, don't wait for us. Rage is not here, but you are. The job we set out to do is not over. Now you're the ones that must testify. If you've got a boss, join a union. If you're a student, start an underground paper. If you're an anarchist, throw a brick. If you're a soldier or a cop, follow your conscience, not your orders. If you're bummed out you didn't get to see Rage Against the Machine, then form your own band and let's hear what...
Let's say he's got Chuck D up there with him. If you guys, Prophets of Rage, the Public Enemy and Rage Against the... members of Rage Against the Machine and Public Enemy, highly recommend it.
You have to say. If you're a human being, stand up for your planet before it's too late. So tomorrow, crank up some rage and head out and confront injustice wherever it rears its ugly head. It's time to change the world, brothers and sisters, or at a bare minimum, to stir up a shitload of trouble.
Fantastic speech. I thought he was going to devote it to Gaza. He apparently didn't. Didn't in the speech, or at least in the segment that I found there. But he did indeed have this as he was doing press pictures. Cease fire. Running down the family. The pocket full of shells. They're bulls on parade. That's exactly what Israel is right now. Last week was Halloween. So you know what that means. This week, several people lost their jobs. Let's hear from a couple of teachers. We got a couple of teachers fired for their Halloween costumes.
A Halloween costume has landed an Antioch elementary school teacher on administrative leave. A school
out in California
says that this teacher at Sutter Elementary School painted her face dark to represent the nighttime, upsetting some parents. NBC Bay Area's Jody Hernandez is live in Contra Costa County with this.
No, you've got to embrace the day, man, and fight the night, man. You did it wrong.
Costume controversy. Jody.
Well, that teacher has been placed on admin leave while the district investigated. Apparently, the concern is all over a teacher's Scooby-Doo themed costume. Now, it happened at Sutter Elementary School in Antioch when it held its annual Halloween costume parade on Tuesday. It's an event where students and teachers show off their costumes and their creativity. And it's a chance for parents to come on campus and join in on the fun. Well,
let's see this costume.
Go over well with everyone. We're going to show you a photo. The teacher had a Scooby-Doo mystery machine attached to her body, and her face was painted dark to represent the night with a green moon over her head. Here's a close look at her head with the moon over it. That
the hoodie would have sufficed.
Costume was offensive to some, and at least one school board member agrees there's cause for concern.
We know that there's a long cultural, historical background to people putting on dark makeup on, and there's a lot of context there that we know is harmful to particular students of color and to very particular to the Black community. So regardless of what the intention was, we know that what kinds of feelings that image can provoke in parents and students and in the community.
School board member Antonio Hernandez says it is crucial for the district to have a welcoming and inclusive environment. Again, that teacher has been placed on administrative leave while the district investigates. The district says it takes this matter very seriously. Reporting live in Contra Costa County, I'm Jody Hernandez, NBC Bay Area News.
I don't know. Could have been trying to test the waters, see what they could get away with. Could have been an honest mistake. The hoodie would have sufficed. You didn't have to paint your face. Don't do blackface, but also I don't think that was blackface. So probably being a little too sensitive there. Let's go to... Where'd this happen at? Let's go to Arizona. I'm pretty sure this teacher didn't deserve to be fired. Pretty sure this teacher deserved a fucking metal horns.
New at 10, a high school teacher out of Mesa is being investigated after some students said that teacher dressed up as the devil and told students, "Hail Satan." That teacher is now on a...
It's Halloween! Hail Satan! Looked lazy to me, to be honest with you. Looked like a lazy fucking costume. He just got a pitchfork and a red shirt on.
After some students said that teacher dressed up as the devil and told students, "Hail Satan." That teacher is now on administrative leave. 12 News journalist Chase Golightly spoke with one of those students tonight and has the story. Chase?
That reported incident happened here at Mesa High School last week. We're told the teacher has been out of the classroom since Thursday, and at least one parent we spoke with tonight said it should stay that way. Sophomore Nathaniel Hamlet walked into class to see his teacher dressed like this.
He was wearing like little horns with like a pitchfork. He was saying "Hail Satan" and like putting the pitchfork over everyone's head.
Taking this Mesa High School teacher on Wednesday. At this time, it's not clear why the teacher decided to dress like this.
Some people thought
it was Halloween.
Like it. Some people was like, whatever. They just blew it off.
But Hamlet wasn't a fan of it.
Kind of insulted because my faith, because I believe.
Faith over fear. Oh my God.
Dress like this.
Some people thought it was funny. Some people didn't like it. Some people was like, whatever. They just blew it off.
But Hamlet wasn't a fan of it.
Kind of insulted because my faith, because I believe in God. I don't really like how he did it and what he did.
When he asked the teacher to stop,
and I said,
"Get Kid, I can't wait for you to get to college, take you a few philosophy classes, and take you a few tokes off of the fucking joint, and then talk to me about your belief in God.
Don't do that to me. And I pushed it away maybe 3 or 4 times. And he still said it and still did it and like reached back. I was walking into the classroom and did it again.
Hamlet then told his dad, Chris, a former Mesa Public School Board candidate, about it.
Of course I was livid because I am a Christian as well, obviously. What really tipped it over for me is...
Where were you on January 6th? Where were you on January 6th, Thur?
He kept telling him no, and the teacher kept persisting. And
Chris then called the principal to report what happened. Both believe what the teacher allegedly did in school was not appropriate.
I don't think it's okay, joking or not. If you're going to keep the Christian stuff out, then you got to keep the devil worshiping stuff out.
The next day, that teacher was placed on paid administrative leave. Mesa Public Schools telling us they are investigating.
I feel like that's fair, but he did it a lot repeatedly to everyone, so I feel like he should probably get fired.
Chris Hamlet should be let go. Other parents who did not want to go on camera said, while they don't agree with what the teacher did, firing them may take it too far. Now, I did reach out to the teacher to get their side of the story. However, I have not heard back at this time. The district says it will continue.
It was Halloween. That's the side of the story.
We're in Mesa tonight. Chase Golightly, 12 News.
All right.
That's his side of the story. It was fucking Halloween. You prudish, uptight pieces of shit. Oh, god damn. Now I'm going to give you guys a warning. You need to wash your asses.
Life is too short to walk this earth for a crusty asshole. Wash your ass.
Because you never know when you might get pulled over by the booty patrol.
The decals with the word booty patrol on the truck aren't really the issue. What deputies cited him for is having red and blue flashing lights. Like these. Ones that at night look as legit as the real deal. Was your intention on building this truck to make it look like you're impersonating a police officer?
No, it wasn't. It was just to have a little fun, you know.
Meet the man behind the booty patrol, Gabriel Lovano. He's the proud owner of this tricked out Chevy pickup truck.
I mean, the truck alone was like 75.
That's just for the decals, plus another $5,000 to light this truck up like a Christmas tree.
I was just bored, you know, and I just decided on that.
That's a lot of money just to be bored.
Yeah, I know, man, but like, you know, just to have fun, you know.
So far, it's just been fun and games for the 18-year-old from Bradenton.
I have videos of cops coming up to me and asking me if they just want a picture.
But on Sunday night, after an event in Arcadia, he met a DeSoto County deputy who wasn't laughing.
So as soon as I pull out of the event, the cop pulls me over.
Deputies writing him this ticket for improper display in his rims, including the prohibited red and blue lights. His fine, $113.
Lots of people like it, some people hate it.
Gabriel says he never uses these red and blue emergency lights while out on the road, only while parked and on private property, like at car shows. Plain and simple, is this impersonating a police officer, just having them installed on the vehicle?
Oh, with the graphics package, absolutely. You'd have to see it in order for it to be considered illegal, if that makes sense, that they have to be on.
He's got a cock on his booty patrol truck.
Property, like at car shows. Plain and simple, is this impersonating a police officer, just having them installed on the vehicle?
Oh, with the graphics package, absolutely. You'd have to see it in order for it to be considered illegal, if that makes sense, that they have to be on, they have to be activated. He's definitely going to get stopped and he's going to get cited for having those lights.
While this is his first ticket he's received, Gabriel says he doesn't plan on writing any fake ones. Will the booty patrol be pulling anybody over here in Southwest Florida anytime soon?
No, it won't. Not anywhere.
Reporting local in DeSoto County, Gage Golding and...
Hey, booty patrol, come pick me up. We'll go out and we'll give people titty slaps.
A titty slap! What the?
Come on now.
Tonight's stream has been a wild ride. I'm sad. I'm sad for it to come to an end. This is a foster kitten I believe before it got adopted. There's a video someone posted of their new foster kitten that they're getting ready to go pick up. It's so mad.
I know.
It wants out. I tried to get you a Maynard, but he ran away.
I know.
Might have hit the microphone. I'm a professional over here. Are they cooking the cat? What do you microwave a cat for?
I know. I know.
Had to go get him out of the bathtub. He is not happy. I think so. I think it's an incubator. Does look like a microwave. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN.